Morning, everybody. Yes, we do, Paul.
My wife found me rooting for Edmonton last night. She looked at me. She goes, "Who are you rooting for?" I said, Game 7.
Right.
More hockey.
It's been a very entertaining series.
3 flipping overtime games.
Yeah. And even the 6-1 game
Had a line brawl.
Right. Well, ambient, have fun.
Don't hit any on the road. They frown upon that.
Ten, EB. Although we have 2 football guests today. Oh, man. I think it's one of the highest scoring. It's the highest scoring first 4 games of the Stanley Cup Finals since the Islanders North Star series, I think, in 81.
Including today, Paul, 3. I'm literally leaving right after the show on Friday the 27th. And taking a leisurely drive. I think we got like 16 hours.
Oh, you're going to Michigan?
No, we're going to Maryland.
Oh.
Where my sister, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and her family have a place. We're not staying with them, but we're staying near them.
Gotcha.
So Maddie can see the cousins that way. And we had a great time on a lake. I'm a big fan of lake life. Big fan. I'll take a lake over an ocean every single day.
Okay.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Friday the 13th. Do you believe in that? I do a little bit. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How's your week gone so far?
My week has gone well. I have, great game last night. I have had a little, kind of a daddy daycare, if you will, this week. My daughter has been in a soccer camp, so every day this week, I have been picking her up along with 2 of her friends and then their little sister. So at about 3:00 every day, I've got a house full of young girls.
Okay.
And I've survived. And I love the other girls that are there. We've known their family. My daughter and the 2 girls, they're twins, have been going to pre-K or whatever you want to call it, daycare, probably since they were 2, maybe even younger, that they've been going to the same daycare place. So we've known this family a long time. My daughter went to the first 4 grades of school with them. So love them to death. They are tough. There's 3 of them. I don't know how parents with 3 kids do it. I don't. I give them all the credit in the world. But I know for a fact that I parent far differently than their parents do.
Right.
And when they're at my house, I
Mhm.
don't care.
Nope.
Because here's the deal. It's my house. And you will play by my rules.
Yep.
And if you don't like it, here's a news flash for you. I don't care.
It's not a democracy. At best, it's a benevolent dictatorship. That's how it works. Get your own house, make your own rules.
So
I'm
they've
with
been
you.
they've been in a little bit of shock a couple of times, and I'm like, no, that doesn't go there. Pick that. No. We don't do that here.
Right. Good. I'm glad. Okay. It's good to see that look in a kid's eyes every now and then, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're stopping me from doing what I want. I very rarely get stopped doing what I want. Well, you're on the road, kid. Do you play sports? All right. Winning on the road is tougher. Okay. Not as tough as it used to be, but winning on the road is harder.
It
And you're on
is.
the road.
It is, but it can be done. And Edmonton proved that last night. 1-1, 2-2.
Here we go.
Line them up, boys.
Miller and Moulton were not enthusiastic. We were not confident, but we both have this series going 7. So when it came time to make picks yesterday, we're like, well, we kind of have to go with Edmonton tonight. And I believe if we were to roll the tape, that somebody on this show said, I think we're going to get a little overtime.
Matter of fact, I think I may have said that yesterday. I think I may have said Edmonton in overtime. And when Reinhardt tied it with 17.5 left to force OT, we got bonus hockey last night.
It's so funny. Apparently, quote unquote, no one's watching the NBA finals. It's actually been pretty compelling. Okay. No one is watching the Stanley Cup finals. I don't know. Might be the best finals so far this century. I mean, 3 of the 4 games have gone overtime, and in the other game, we had a fight. We had a line fight.
We had a line brawl. We had a 5-on-5 brawl. Something we don't see very often in hockey, let alone the Stanley Cup final.
So, credit to Edmonton, because it's not just they were down 3-0 after 1 in game 4. After the first period of game 2, Florida had outscored Edmonton 12-2. When the Oilers were sitting in that locker room, they didn't have a whole lot to grab onto from a confidence standpoint. They lost game 2, getting outscored 3-1 in the final 3.5 periods, because that game went double overtime. They then lose game 3, 6-1. And they're outscored in the first period of game 4, 3-0. That's 12-2 over what? 7.5 periods of hockey? I mean, they have nothing to hold on to except a deep belief that we have it in us. We can still do this. Head coach makes a somewhat controversial goalie change. Goalie was actually pretty good in the first period. If it wasn't for the goalie, I think it would have been 6-0 Florida. But the last goal needed to be stopped. He gave up a rebound when he shouldn't have given up a rebound. And the coach was like, you know what? That's it. If I could bench the whole team, I'd bench the whole team. I'm going to start with the goalie.
And as most of you know, pulling the goalie isn't always about how the goalie is playing. Coaches do it to embarrass the team in front of the goalie. You're playing so badly, I have to pull the goalie so you get your heads out of your you-know-whats. And it wasn't just the coach, it was the veteran leader. Because apparently, according to Leon Draisaitl, it was Corey Perry in between the first and second period that led the charge in speaking. And Draisaitl said, I'm not going to go into exactly what he said, but Corey spoke up. When he speaks up, you listen. And they responded.
Sometimes it's good to be the senior citizen in the room. And when you're 40 in hockey these days, you are the senior citizen. But he's won a cup. Most of the guys in that room haven't. He's also played in like 6 of them.
He understands both ends, the highs and the lows, and what was on the line in the last 40 minutes for Edmonton. Because from the sounds of it, it wasn't just Miller and Moulton thinking that Game 4 was a must-win for the Oil. Sounds like Corey Perry, their head coach, Leon Draisaitl, all were aware of the importance of the game. And after getting off to an awful start, they come back, they take the lead, Florida ties it late, and Draisaitl gets the goal in OT, and we are tied at 2. Tremendous series. First time since I believe in the 2013 season, David, 3 of 4 went OT to start the series. So it's been a dozen years since we've seen something like this.
Yesterday we had Oilers radio analyst Bob Stauffer on, and he said, you know, you look at the analytics, and Edmonton should be doing a little better than they are. He said, there's a thing in hockey called puck luck, and they're due to get some. And when the game-winning goal went in, Mark, when it went in off of a Panthers defenseman who's sliding in front, and the puck goes off of his legs and through Bobrovsky's legs. I mean, I don't even know if that was intended to be a shot, but it certainly was a goal. And when that happened, it was kind of like, yeah, all right, that's what Bob Stauffer was talking about. That's what Miller and Moulton talk about when you talk about the sports gods. The Oilers got to bounce.
And think about it, because, David, yes, they pulled Skinner because of that third goal. I thought that third goal was fluky. Skinner was prepared, and I don't remember who it was in the slot that got the pass. He was prepared for the shot. The puck bounced, and he fanned on it. And then he threw one towards the net. It hit him in the chest, but he was prepared for the original shot. That's why I think the rebound happened more than anything. And Florida scores. You know, Kachuk on the 5-on-3, the one on the side door. I mean, you think of I don't want to call it total puck luck, but the bounces Florida got to take the 3-0 lead. A couple of bounces went their way. Yep. Even on the third goal. Should have been a penalty on the Florida Panthers. It was a high stick. Yep. They didn't call it. All of the puck luck, if you will, went the Panthers' way. Not just in the first period when they take the lead, but to score with less than 20 seconds left in the game, you need a little puck luck to get the goal with the extra attacker out there. And yet Edmonton found a way to win. I don't know. Can Florida come back from it?
Of course they can. Of course they can. They're champions. Okay? Unlike, and I love Ed Olczyk doing hockey, but Ed Olczyk's a big believer in momentum. Yeah, there is no momentum when they drop the puck in Game 5. There isn't.
I thought what Darren Pang said after the game, talking about Florida, you know, going back to your point, David, last year Florida had lost 3 straight games. It was Game 7. You would think there would be nerves. And he said Florida's walking in the rink going, hey, Panger, how you doing? All, you know, all the players just calm and cool. They've been there.
Remember, they faced elimination in these playoffs. They played a Game 7 in Toronto.
And they've played a few elimination games over the past couple of years, and largely this core is intact.
But we got ourselves a couple of series here. And I know most of you aren't excited. I don't know, man. I think you should get excited. Hockey tomorrow, hoop tonight. Why are they not doing hoop Sunday night?
I'm stunned by that. It's the best night in television.
Yeah.
And you would think they would want, a Game 5 on Sunday night when it could be 2-2?
Right.
But they put this thing well ahead. That was, 2 days off for travel because of that long flight from Indianapolis to Oklahoma City.
Miller and Moulton. So our poll question yesterday, we had some fun. Got the U.S. Open yesterday at this time was about to start. And so we asked you, hey, do you take the 100 grand or you got the non-sports loving partner in your life? Do you put a putter in their hand and give them 3 cracks at a 6-footer for $1 million? 75% of you said, give me the 100 grand. Don't trust my partner to make the putt. Mark, granted, we weren't going to put our partner at Oakmont with the 14.5 centimeter greens and what have you. Mark, I don't know if those guys could have made 1 out of 3 6-footers the way they were putting those greens yesterday. Damn. That course is hard. Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floormeisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floormeisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floormeisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Kevin Ball, the cut will be more like +8. I mean, right now, top 70 and ties get in. T62 is +4. I think +8 will get you to play the weekend. Oh, God dang. Like, I don't think it'll be easier today than it was yesterday. Oh yeah, Canada Relief. It's worse. Now they want me to do physical therapy. That's great. Can you tell me what the hell's wrong with my back before we begin physical therapy? Because if it's a disc, I can't imagine physical therapy helping. Not real happy.
A coffin ball. I actually think the current cut's +3 because it's top 60 in ties.
Oh, it's top 60?
It's
Not top 70?
No, the U.S. Open has arguably the strictest cut.
Okay, so it's
plus
+3 then. Yeah, because T62 is +4.
Right. So there are
I'm
6.
sorry, I thought it was +7. So that means +7 is probably going to be the cut. That would be my guess.
Yeah, like there's 61 golfers right now, 3 over or better. So you certainly double it, right?
Oh, for sure you double it, and I think it'll play
Oh.
harder today than it did yesterday.
So
So my buddy that's out in Vegas got in a big tournament where you can win a bracelet. He made it to day 2, and he's in pretty good position. He played in a senior event, 50 and over, and won it yesterday.
Oh, wow.
16 grand.
That'll work.
Right. No bracelet because it's a 1-day little event, but
Right.
the one that's a 3-day event is a bracelet event. That is the poker player, Paul.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Nice little show lined up for you today. It's a little different considering it's mid-June and we got basketball and hockey and golf and baseball going on. But well, 2 of our 3 guests today are football guests. You know,
Football Friday.
Right. Even though we're 76 and 83 days away from the respective seasons starting, that's okay. We had some football with some meat on the bone this week. People showing up, not showing up for mandatory OTAs. We got some new people in new surroundings. So we're going to head to Pittsburgh. And since half the show's already in Jacksonville, we'll stay in Jacksonville as well. Talk a little Steelers, little Jags on the show. Christopher Powers will join us in about an hour and a half. Talk a little U.S. Open golf. Throw in some betting angles as well on this tournament. Don't you just have to, every bet just has to be about carnage? Aren't you just always betting on carnage?
Well, yes, that's what this tournament is. And, you know, I think we saw what the U.S. Open is yesterday simply in Rory McIlroy's round. Rory played brilliantly for 9 holes. And then Oakmont beat him up for 9 holes.
Yep. And some big names with some big numbers yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Be interesting, in fact, to see if some of these big names can make the cut. And they probably will. After all, they're pretty good. But never know. One shot, one funky lie in 5-inch, which all of a sudden looks like 15-inch rough. Who knows what can happen? I'm 4 inches off the green. Can I take an unplayable from here? Miller and Moulton.
You know, and they made a comment yesterday when I was watching that, and he's not a guy that I like, and I really should, because Jordan Spieth is as close to one of us on the golf course as any pro that's out there. He makes pars sometimes like we make pars.
Hits it all over the place.
Talks to himself throughout.
Constantly. Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's as if he's doing the job of the network broadcasters and talking to himself during the round.
5 birdies, 5 bogeys, 8 pars.
Yep. Just your routine 70. Hey,
It is something to watch.
Shoot 3 more of those.
He's made for TV. He really is.
Shoot 3 more rounds like that, even if you're all over the place. You'll be pretty close on Sunday, I think.
I do too. But J.J. Spawn, a bogey-free 66 yesterday. That's a hell of a round.
Which is 4 under because it's a par 70. What do we have, 9 under par? Spawn at 4 under?
10. T11's even.
Gotcha.
So 10 under par. Few of the guys that shot under par yesterday are not household names. Not even close. Rasmus Peterson, James Nichols are not guys we are talking about on a regular basis. I will say Ben Griffin, who's been playing as well as anyone not named Scotty Scheffler, did shoot 1 under yesterday to continue his very good play. And Brooks Koepka, it's a major, so Brooks showed up.
Brooks is like, listen, I have it on good authority. The Stanley Cup final is going to go at least 6. I can take this U.S. Open very seriously. I can still get to Sunrise for Game 6 when the Cup will be in the building no matter what. For those that don't know, Brooks Koepka is a huge Florida Panthers fan.
How about the power couple at the game last night?
I know.
And
Travis,
I have to give TNT credit because, yes, they win often. But TNT, to my knowledge, has never had Taylor Swift at an event they've covered. And I thought they showed a decent amount of restraint to not go to her 7 times a period.
They went to him a couple times right away, then went to him, I think, twice after Florida scored because they were clearly there. I think Kelsey and Kachuk are friends. And so they were there rooting for the Panthers. They've also been spending a lot of time in Florida this offseason. So they were rooting for the Panthers. And then they went to him for a shot right after the Panthers tied it with under 20 seconds to go, in which you can read her lips, in which she's like, oh my God, I didn't think they'd score.
You sure it wasn't that? And oh my God, I thought we were leaving. I've got to stay for more of this.
Yeah, they get the police escort out. They can leave whenever they want. They get the police escort to the car. They get the police escort out. They'll get out of that arena before the Oilers will.
I don't know if Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift rooting for the Panthers will do anything for the national media, changing their narrative of how they cover this series from a pro-Canada standpoint.
I will say, there's a little thing going on. I don't know how many of you are watching. So the Panthers have this ritual right before the start of the game in which they bang the drum. And a lot of teams now are doing this or something to this effect. Well, the Panthers like to get a celebrity, a South Florida celebrity, or a former athlete, whether it's hockey, baseball, whatever the case may be. Whenever they bring on a Dolphin, they have been losing.
Coincidence? I think not.
And that's what many people in South Florida. So they bring in Hall of Famer, former Dolphin great Jason Taylor. And when they're up 3-0, okay, you got people on social media going, well, we had to bring in a Hall of Famer. Okay, we couldn't just bring in, run-of-the-mill Dolphins. We had to bring in a Hall of Famer to break this schneid. Well, sure enough, they end up losing.
Right, because they went in game 3, they went with Udonis Haslem and another Heat player, Bam Adebayo. Right. Brought Heat players.
Right, who have won championships.
Right.
Uh-huh. So I'm guessing for game 6 that it will be anyone but a former Miami Dolphin.
D. Wade, are you busy? We might need you.
Miller and Moulton.
But 2-2 tonight, will Oklahoma City make it 2-2? And what will the carnage be like today at Oakmont as they get started not too long from now?
Listen, not only will it be 2-2 in the NBA Finals, Mark, every hour it seems this spread is going up. I went to bed at nearly midnight. The spread was 5.5. I woke up, Oklahoma City's a 6.5-point favorite. I'll tell you, the Pacers, I know I date myself. They are the Rodney Dangerfield of these playoffs. I mean, they are getting no respect at all.
And Carlisle is playing that beautifully with his team. A veteran coach who pays attention to these things, and he's driving it home with this team because they're hosting game 4, and yet they're a 6.5-point underdog. But I don't think Oklahoma City is going to turn it over 20 times tonight, David.
We'll see. Pressure's on the Thunder, just like it was on the Oilers last night. Edmonton responded, Can OKC. The starting 5 is coming up. Ray Fittipaldo in an hour on a mini Football Friday.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floormeisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floormeisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floormeisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Does Skinner get credit for the win? I don't see how he can,
What?
because he started the game, but I mean,
He doesn't get the win.
I don't think so.
No.
Phew. Phew.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Ray Fittipaldo in an hour. Christopher Powers in about an hour and 20 minutes. Talk a little golf. Mike DiRocco in 2 hours to talk some Jags. You're on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. 76 days away from the start of the college football season. That Thursday heading into Labor Day weekend is 11 weeks yesterday. 83 days away. 12 weeks yesterday. Eagles hosting the Cowboys to get the NFL season started. Mark, what's your number?
14, David. 14 days. 14 days, 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Until
I leave for vacation. Telling you right now, on that Friday, when we finish the show and I get things posted and leave, which is done pretty quickly, my family better be ready when I'm home. I mean, I want to pull in the driveway because we're taking my wife's car. I want to pull in the driveway, lock my car, and basically get in hers and get on the road. And I have no faith that the three women in my life will be ready to move that quickly. None whatsoever.
So if you give them a deadline of 10:30.
10:10. No 10:30, 10:10. I want to be out the door. I got a long drive ahead of me. Every minute counts.
Wow. Okay. I don't like your chances of
I
getting
don't
on the
either.
road by 10:15, but yeah, think positive thoughts. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Game 4 in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup last night was tremendous. Panthers dominated the first period, led 3-0 after 1. Edmonton reeling with their season on the line, rallied with a spectacular second period in which they scored 3 times. So 3-3 going to the third. Oilers score with under 7 minutes to go. And the Panthers pull the goalie and do to Edmonton what Edmonton did to Florida in game 2. They score to tie it with less than 20 seconds to go. Verhaeghe sends it to overtime. But when you go to overtime this year, you got to put money on Leon Draisaitl. He scored his 4th overtime goal in this year's playoffs, his 2nd in the finals. Draisaitl got a bounce, went off a Panthers defenseman, through Bob's legs. It counts. 5-4 Edmonton. Series tied at 2. Game 5 tomorrow night in Edmonton. Game 6 will definitely happen now. It'll be Tuesday night in South Florida. Edmonton changed goalies in between the first and second period. Picard stopped 22 of the 23 shots he faced, and a half dozen of them were outstanding saves. And how he got a piece of that Bennett shot in overtime when Bennett looked to have half a net to shoot at, and Picard got his glove on it enough to deflect it so that the puck hit the crossbar, and 2 minutes later, Draisaitl with the game winner. Compelling series where 3 of the first 4 games have gone overtime. Some quick hockey news from yesterday. It's not often that a goalie wins league MVP, but they gave it to the Winnipeg goalie, Colin Hellebuck. He won the Vezina as best goalie in the league. They gave him the Hart Trophy as well. The goalie hadn't won both since Carey Price 10 years ago. Draisaitl finished 2nd, Kucherov 3rd for the Hart Trophy. Rangers traded veteran Chris Kreider, had been with them since 2012, to Anaheim in a salary dump. NBA, Game 4 tonight, 8:30 ABC. Thunder trailing 2-1 a 6.5-point favorite in Indianapolis against the Pacers. Mark, something has to give tonight. Both teams are undefeated in game 4s this year in the playoffs. OKC was up 3-0, swept Memphis. They were down 2-1 against Denver, won the all-important game 4, and then it was home court the rest of the way. And then, remember, they won that terrific 2-point, 128-126 game in Minnesota to take the commanding 3-1 lead in that series before putting the T-Wolves away. Pacers beat Milwaukee, Cleveland, and the Knicks in game 4s. All of them at home. And that's what they have tonight. Something's got to give. Pacers are 7-2 at home in the playoffs, while the Thunder are just 4-4 on the road. You taking the points with the Pacers tonight?
No, I'd lay the points tonight. Oklahoma City's not going to turn it over the way they did in game 3. I think SGA scores 30+ in this game. Holmgren gets it done. Defensively, they're going to be able to slow the bench of the Pacers down, and they'll win the game, I think, by 8 to 10 points.
Can't believe you don't think Eggs Benedict's going to come off the bench and score another 27. U.S. Open yesterday at Oakmont. J.J. Spawn, a bogey-free 4-under 66, has a one-shot lead over Thurston Lawrence. Not Thurston Howell, Thurston Lawrence of South Africa. 3 golfers are 2 back. One of them's Brooks Koepka. He's won this tournament twice before. There are 5 golfers that are 3 shots back at 1 under, and one of them's Jon Rahm. So 10 golfers currently under par. Top 60 and ties make the cut. It's a pretty difficult cut, considering there's 156 golfers in the field. Top 60 in ties. 3 over right now has 61 golfers at 3 over or better. At 3 over are the likes of Bryson DeChambeau, Scotty Scheffler, and Patrick Reed. Ludwig Oberg and Xander Schauffele are 2 over. Brian Harmon, Victor Hovland are 1 over. Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth, Colin Morikawa are even. Rory, Phil, Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki Matsuyama, they're all 4 over. DJ and Joaquin Neiman. Why, of course, Joaquin Neiman's 5 over. It's a major. He can't play in a major.
Yeah, I'm almost to the point where I'm not going to allow you to bring his name up anymore. He's kind of like the baseball. Because, David, I don't give a damn what the guy does on live. I don't. When he shows up for a major, he can't play.
I know. Just pointing that out. That's all.
I mean, he is the baseball team that's under 500, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I like it. JT and Tony Finau 6 over. Justin Rose 7 over. Sepp Straka 8 over. My long shot, Shane Lowry. Yeah, he had a couple implosions yesterday. Took it out on a microphone on the tee as well. 9 over for Shane.
By the way, that's with an eagle.
Correct.
He holed a shot from the fairway on a par 4. He made an eagle and shot 79.
And our dentist from Indianapolis, who grew up in Pittsburgh and caddied at Oakmont, vote there, shot a smooth 82, 41-41.
The Naples kid, Noah Kent, shot 80, amateur.
Major League Baseball. Mets have won 6 in a row, but their ace, Senga, got hurt covering first, pulled a hamstring. He'll miss at least a month. I don't see him back before the All-Star break. Mets beat the Nats, however, held on 4-3. Washington with 3 in the 9th and had the winning run at second. Tampa Bay in New York to begin a 3-game series against the Mets beginning tonight. The Detroit Tigers lead is 8. This Scooble guy is pretty good.
Yes, he is, David.
7.
Your whole thing about an ace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got bombed the day before.
Right.
Here
you go.
you go.
Yep. By the way, we're packing up while you're pitching. We're prepared to leave in about 2.5 hours. You got this? 7 shutout innings. Tigers 4-1 over the Orioles. Yankees have a 4.5 game lead on the Blue Jays. They completed a season sweep of the Royals, 1-0. Judge got the day off. Cubs got homers from Crow, Armstrong, and Suzuki in a 3-2 win over the Pirates.
This
Astros.
Crow Armstrong guy's pretty good.
He is. He was a deadline deal acquisition from the Mets 5 years ago for Javi Baez. And he had not done a damn thing. And this year is breaking out. Astros have a 4.5 game lead in the West. They beat the White Sox 4-3.
That's because no one else in the West is above 500. The Mariners now are below 500, David.
Texas at 6 home runs in a 16-3 win over the Twins. Hey, the Rockies won a game. They scored 3 in the 9th. Snap a 5-game skid. They beat San Francisco 8-7. That loss keeps the Giants a game behind the Dodgers. By the way, the Rockies are now a robust 13-55. They're on pace to win 31 games. Remember, a couple weeks ago, they were on pace to win 27. So they're picking it up. They are. Yeah, 31-131 is how they would finish if they play it out at this rate. 100 games below 500. You got to be kidding me. Jacob Mizorowski, 23 years old, made his major league debut yesterday and took a no-no into the 6th. And then, I don't know, he had a cramp or something. They had to take him out. Brewers shut out the Cardinals 6-0. St. Louis has lost 5 in a row. And the Brewers have battled back. They're now in second, 5.5 behind the Cubs in that division. Some NFL news. Can the Patriots do any more things for Tom Brady? Man, they are just whatever they can do to still stay connected to TB12. They're going to unveil a Tom Brady statue. They're doing it at the preseason game August 8th. Isn't there I mean, I don't know. Are they on Monday Night Football this year? Thursday night? I mean, you sure we can't actually do the statue at a game?
Well, David, I mean, I guess they could do a Monday night or a Thursday night, but obviously, Tom's working Sundays.
No, I know that.
Right.
But I mean, there's got to be a Monday or a Thursday that the Patriots are playing. Texans have an issue. Their safety, Jimmy Ward's facing felony assault charges. He counts for $5.5 million against the cap this year. Texans are going to wait and see how this plays out for a little bit before they decide what to do. Former wide receiver Antonio Brown, he's facing attempted murder charges from a party, and needless to say, an incident at said party last month in Miami. Yikes. They have a warrant for his arrest, and they haven't been able to issue it yet. Can't find him. My guess is now that the word's out, they'll be able to find him. And at 9 minutes before the hour mark, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories and an attempted murder charge here on Miller and Moulton.
What a
fall from grace.
Tragic life that has ended up for this guy. He's obviously not a stable human being. We knew that.
No. And
he's unhinged, and now it's gone to the darkest spot, if you will.
Yep. And he was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He was not far away from going to the Hall of Fame. Because remember, he had the second act with Brady and the Bucks. And I mean, his numbers are great. He was awesome. What do you have, like 8 straight years of 1,000 yards or something ridiculous like that?
and then walked off the field in Tampa Bay while stripping down.
Correct. Yep.
Unbelievable.
And then has done nothing but diss Brady publicly when Brady literally brought him into his house with his wife and kids and let him stay with him to try to keep his act together.
Antonio Brown took this week to pass Pac-Man Jones in the holy cow, how much further are these guys going to fall contest?
Right.
Because Pac-Man hit a cop last week, in case you didn't know.
Right.
Which is par for the course for him. Miller and Moulton. Pretty good show lined up for you today. Ray Fittipaldo will join us next hour to talk the Steelers, Christopher Powers to talk some golf, and Mike DiRocco to talk Jags. All coming up on Miller and Moulton. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ah.
Sorry.
Well, it is what it is. It's just weird in this chair. Just hitting buttons causes me to turn and twist ways I don't normally have to. And it kind of sucks. That whole shooting a gun at other people usually will do it, fam.
Yeah. Tough to claim misunderstanding after that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday the 13th. Is that something that any of you believe in? All right. I didn't until Tim Russert suffered a fatal heart attack on a Friday the 13th back in 2008. And I went, maybe there's something to this because I liked Russert.
You did. That of all of the celebrity type deaths in the history of us doing a show together, I don't think anything affected you more than Russert died.
Yeah, that was my Sunday morning. I watched him. I thought he did a really good job. I thought he could play it down the middle pretty well. A lot of big time Republic, even though he worked for Tip O'Neill. Okay. But so you would think, oh, he was, one side of the aisle only. Like Dick Cheney loved him. Came on his show all the time. Thought he was very fair. And so I just thought it was a good, hour. And I'm a political junkie. And so, yeah, he was my Sunday morning guy. And I haven't watched anybody else since. They just don't do it for me. So that one, plus, he was a Bills fan. He brought his dad on the show. He prayed before the fourth Bills, Super Bowl there. He said, come on, God. Okay, come on. Can't we just one, please? I mean, I you know me, Mark. He was part of that fan base. Everybody deserves a parade. I liked him. And
no, I know. That was a big show for you. It's a show I never watched, and I still was talking to someone yesterday, and they started complaining about things in the world. And I said, yeah, I'm aware of what's going on. And he what do you mean you're aware? I said, well, about 5 years ago now, a good friend of mine told me to quit watching and listening to political radio and talk. And I took his advice, and I've been a much happier person ever since.
So it's Friday the 13th. We've had a few hurricanes that have hit on Friday the 13th here in the last few years in Florida. So, I must admit, I was not a Friday the 13th guy the first 30, 40 years of my life. But a few things have happened here in the last 20 years in which I'm like, huh, maybe there is something to this. Before we get to our poll question, you know what I'm a little surprised about?
No, David, what are you a little surprised about?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Somebody was behaving himself, and now he just can't help. So, why didn't we take the easy way out with the poll question? It's Father's Day on Sunday. I mean, why didn't we just do a simple, Father's Day poll question? And how about if we had asked, do you really, really just want to be left alone as your Father's Day gift? Yes or no?
No, I want gifts. I want attention. My mother was very nice. I'd not talked to my mom in a couple of days, and my mom's 81, and I feel like I should talk to her more often for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
And I realized I hadn't talked to her since Monday, and I'm like, I better give Mom a call. Let's hope she answers the phone.
Wow.
That's all right. My brother-in-law has a deal with his mom, my mother-in-law, that he texts her every morning just to make sure she's alive.
Oh, damn. You know what? I mean, and I know she's got a little bit of a sense of humor. She should occasionally just not answer.
Exactly. But I called my mom, and she was very nice. And she said, I know, obviously it's Father's Day and you're not my father, but would you like me to make you dinner on Sunday so you don't, because I cook in our house.
Right.
And I'm like, no. I want to be on my couch watching the U.S. Open on my TV. I don't care if I got to make the steak. I don't. I make myself dinner every year on Father's Day. I get to make what I want on Father's Day. I don't have to ask anybody, what do you want for dinner? Because I don't care. So I'll make a big juicy steak, and I will eat said juicy steak with a glass of bourbon while I watch the U.S. Open.
If I could ask a semi-personal question, you have been open about this on the show. Okay, you go to church on Sunday because your wife strongly encourages that form of behavior, correct?
100%. And I have an 11-year-old daughter, so I try to set a good example. I go, I don't complain. I sit when I'm supposed to. I stand when I'm supposed to. I kneel when I'm supposed to. I say the words that I'm supposed to in the proper order. Stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. That's what we do on Sundays in the Catholic Church.
Absolutely. What do we do?
I'm going to hell for all the things I say about that place.
What do? We get up when everybody gets up. We sit down when everybody sits down. Right. So I'm just curious, on Father's Day, do you get to take the day off?
It's a great question, David. It is a great question. And I have not brought that question up with my wife. My wife, who does a lot of stuff, she volunteers a lot of time at the church. She gives a lot of herself to the church, which is fantastic. And so I said, Sunday, are you obligated to do anything? And she says, yeah, she's a Eucharistic minister. She says, I'm working 8:30. Are you going? And I didn't answer. I just kind of said, okay, because it's a double-edged sword. I could get out of it on Father's Day.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
But if I don't go, how long will she hold it against me?
I don't think she can. I don't think
David,
she can.
She's a woman. She can hold anything she wants against anyone she wants for any length of time forward. What the hell world do you live in?
Well, first off, Mark, that's not just a female thing. You and I can hold a grudge pretty damn well, too. I mean, you got to admit, we're pretty good about it. But I'm just saying, I think on Father's Day, isn't that a get-out-of-jail-free day?
It's possible. What I should do is set up a tea time on Sunday and play golf Sunday morning, because then she really couldn't do it. It's Father's Day. I'm doing what I want to do.
Okay.
So the jury's still out on that one, but I thank you for your concern. I'll let you know on Monday. But you're right. We could have done a Father's Day poll question. We could have done something about the Stanley Cup final. could have done something about the NBA final. And I came in all full of piss and vinegar this morning. I've got a poll question, David.
And I'm like, great, go with it. It's
So
actually a really good question.
I thought it was too. So what would be the best winner in the finals of a series or a major in golf? Hockey OT winner, hoop the last second shot, a walk-off home run, or birdie 18 to win a major? Right now, the hockey OT winner is getting the majority of the vote, or the most votes, at around 38%. Birdieing 18 at 31%, the walk-off at 19%, and the last second shot in hoop garnering 11% of the vote. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. I picked the birdie. I have been playing golf longer than I've played any other sport in my life. It was the first sport that that and baseball were probably the first two sports that I really loved. Basketball would have probably been next, and hockey would have been the last one. And as much fun and great as it would be to score an OT winner in hockey, it's a team, and the golf thing's by yourself. And birdieing 18 to win a major, I can't think of anything better. That's where my vote was. David, you voted the hockey OT winner.
I did. I was envisioning winning a championship. And I got to be honest, Mark, when has there been a Game 7? Now, there's been some Game 6s, overtime winners, Brett Hull, Bobby Nystrom, for teams to have won the final. The Devils beat the Stars in 2000. Was it Arnott who scored? Okay, in overtime in Game 6 to win that series. But I can't think of a Game 7 overtime winner in the Stanley Cup. It's got to go back to the 60s at least. And I don't think I'm missing any. Like the Penguins held off the Wings in the closing seconds, but an overtime Game 7 for the Cup, we've seen, Jordan, although it wasn't a Game 7, it was a Game 6, with the last second shot against Utah. We've seen many a birdie on 18 to win a major, some in sudden death, and they've been awesome. We've seen a couple of walk-off homers to win the World Series. Touch them all, Joe. But, Jim in Alva is asking, Patrick Kane's overtime game winner was Game 6 to win the Cup in 2010. I don't know if there's been a Game 7 overtime winner. I'm sure there has, but I'll bet you it was in the original 6 days.
So those are your choices. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. I thought it was a pretty good poll question. Letting you be the hero and picking the sport that you want to be the hero in.
I love it.
And I didn't go Game 7 in the series, just a walk-off in the series. I guess probably the birdie on 18 to win a major is a little more accolades than the other three if you break it down, but what are you going to do?
But I know what you're thinking. I mean, Jordan had a couple. Obviously he hit the one in college. It wasn't in the last 2 or 3 seconds. It was the last 20, though. Obviously, he had the one with the Bulls against the Jazz. We won't even talk about the shots against Cleveland in earlier rounds. Have enough pain.
But now we have a 3-game series in hockey. Will Oklahoma City make it a 3-game series in hoop after tonight? They're in the same predicament that Edmonton was in last night. On the road, basically a must-win.
I'll tell you what, here's another potential poll question. We won't go with it, but do you think Indiana will win another game in the series? Because Oklahoma City's still an overwhelming favorite to win the series. They're a 6.5-point road favorite tonight.
Yeah, and they're minus 230 to win the series still.
I'm curious, how many of you think Indiana's even going to win one more game in this series?
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Fly, you also, I mean, come on now. You picked the Pacers in 5 and you want to be right. And I respect the hell out of that. I truly do. But skip what the people that talk for a living are saying. Let me just ask you this. When's the last time in Las Vegas they knocked down a casino to build a smaller one? They're not wrong that often. They really aren't. That's all. Be interesting with Brooksy having the early tee time. I mean, they basically said the course was a hell of a lot easier for those playing in the morning than it was for those playing in the afternoon. Rahm, Brooksy, and Sung J M all have early tee times for what it's worth. And cooler weather, Knicks. That's the thing I'm most excited about. Get the hell out of Florida for a week.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Ray Fittipaldo to talk a little Steelers and their mandatory mini camp, OTAs, whatever. 3 days where you had to be there. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers showed up and he's now signed. So we'll just talk to Ray about, so what was it like? And what are we thinking now? Because between now and late July, we've got training camps. Not much going to happen. A few guys will get signed. A few guys will get released. That's about it. So we're going to catch in with Ray in about 15 minutes, talk a little Steelers, Christopher Powers, talk a little golf at the top of the hour. You were talking some golf with those in the Twitch chat room during the commercial break. And your big thing today is that there's 2 or 3 big name golfers who they're teeing off like now.
Well, I mean, I watched a lot of golf yesterday.
Okay.
And the one thing that those on the course were talking about, they felt it was a hell of a lot easier to play in the morning. The winds weren't as strong. The greens got faster and firmer as the winds picked up as the day went on. And they thought the course played tougher for those teeing off in the latter groups, in the afternoon groups. Well, Sung J M, Brooks Koepka, and John Rahm, of the notable names on the leaderboard, are all teeing off early this morning. J.J. Spawn has a 1 o'clock tee time. That Thurston Lawrence is teeing off at 2:20. Siwoo Kim, 1:36. Ben Griffin, 1:14. Dietrich, 1:47. So of the big names, there's a couple of them that have early tee times, and we'll see what that leads to. Mike Wan yesterday gave his, state of golf. One thing he pointed out about Oakmont, David, 1,385 players have played a major championship at Oakmont. 27 of them have finished their 4 days under par.
That's a very low number.
It really is.
Yeah.
And
I'm not that smart, but I can do that mathematical equation. 27 on one side and like 1358 on another.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I will say, David, I know where you're coming from, and I know you know this course a hell of a lot better than I do. You worked the course. You know the layout. You walked the course. I thought there were a lot of birdies yesterday. There were birdie holes. There were guys reaching par 5s and 2. So I liked the setup yesterday. I thought it was fair for a U.S. Open.
Well, clearly it wasn't quote unquote fair in 07. I mean, when 5 over is your winning score, you've probably gone a little overboard. But it wasn't just Mark that DJ won at 4 under. There were 3 other golfers who finished under par. But also, Shane Lowry had the lead going into the final round at 7 under par. And he had a 4-shot lead. I mean, 7 under. That was right around the lead heading into the final round of the Memorial a couple of weeks ago. I mean, so these guys are so damn good, and they do hit it so damn long. I just, not to sound like a broken record, the part that bothers me, like Scheffler, come on. I know this is your tournament and the whole deal, but did you see what happened to Scheffler yesterday on that par 5? He hits the tee shot literally down the middle of the fairway, but the fairway slopes really hard. So his ball does not end up in the fairway. The ball lands in the middle of the fairway, slopes all the way down, and now it ends up in the rough on a par 5, and he's got a lie in which he can't play it and go for the green and what have you. So it's no longer a birdie hole for him. And it is tee shot right down the middle. Now, see, I think that's absurd. I think then you've got to have a first cut of rough where, okay, if that's the slope of the fairway and you're going to have a lot of balls that are going to run off the fairway, we got to have a longer area where the rough slows it down, but not the 5, 6, 8-inch rough. Okay, where it's a first Masters cut of rough. I think that's fair. The guy hit the ball down the middle of the fairway. That's all. These greens are rock hard. They're super fast. If you're below the pin, the ball oftentimes will run off. And so sometimes you miss a green or get the big bounce and it runs through the green and you're 5 inches over the green. And you've got it unplayable, basically, greenside. That's the only thing I wish that they would just do a little something with. I think that there are just a few instances in which them wanting to be really tough is unfair.
Understood. The greens held yesterday. Balls were not running over greens. They were able to get the ball to bite on the greens. That's important. That's very, to your point, David, that's important.
Very.
The greens they can be firm, they can be fast, but if these guys are in the fairway, they've got to be able to hold the ball on the green. And yesterday they were able to.
Yep.
So I understand what you're saying, but I thought the course played pretty damn fair yesterday for a U.S. Open. Time now for the coolest thing I've seen today, brought to you by Air Advantage, myairadvantage.com. myairadvantage.com. For service or sales, call My Air Advantage today at 433-4635. That's 239-433-4635 or myairadvantage.com. 18 months, no interest, no payments available. I happen to be watching it. I'd never seen one before. I've seen highlights of one, and I'm sure NBC had it on tape delay because, let's be honest, 80% of NBC's golf coverage is on tape delay because, well, they have to be in commercial for most of the event. But yesterday happened to be watching, and they show Patrick Reed on a par 5. And Patrick Reed made it 2. I'd never been watching television. I've seen highlights of one, but I've never just been watching. Let's go to Patrick Reed on 12, and he holes his second shot for a double eagle in the U.S. Open, the 4th double eagle ever made in that tournament. That was pretty cool. I'm not even a Patrick Reed guy.
No, you're not.
But come on. His scorecard was a mess yesterday.
I was going to say, if he makes par on that hole, he shoots 76. I mean, he's got an albatross to be 3 over.
He made 5 bogeys. He made a double eagle, 2 birdies, and he tripled the 18th hole.
Wow.
He's 3 over. But a double eagle at the U.S. Open was the coolest thing that I've seen today, brought to you by our friends at Air Advantage. He didn't even see it because he was blinded. There's a bunker basically in front of the green. He knew he hit it good, and he kind of gave the arms up shrug like, what? And, looked at the guy holding the microphone. He said, did it go in? The guy's like, I don't know.
Well, aren't they talking to you in your ear?
That's awesome stuff.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that there are par 5s that these guys can reach. There's a par 4 they can drive. The 9th green is fantastic. The ninth green, they were practice putting on the ninth green while players were playing on the ninth green.
It did have a little open championship feel, didn't it?
They said they could put I thought I heard it right, that they could put 4 basketball courts on the ninth green. I mean, the square footage of the green is the equal to 4 basketball courts.
Well, listen, if one golfer was able to go out there and play bogey free, you can't make the case the course was unfair. You just can't. I mean, J.J. Spawn was bogey free. Okay, the course is playable.
And you have to make your share. He made 4 par putts that were like between 7 and 10 feet. That's what you have to do at the U.S. Open. It's a grind. And I love the grind. And these players don't have to grind very often. These players play tracks where there's virtually no rough, that they can hit it as far as they want, and they're holding gap wedges in their hand all day. This tournament, they have to make shots. They have to get up and down. They have to have pressure putts for par. I love every part of it. Ray Fittipaldo next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Either or. Albatross, double eagle, doesn't matter.
Peacock.
Ray is on. Kepka bogeys his first hole.
It's a hard course.
Yeah, to me, you can't watch the leaderboard and watch this. You know what I mean? You've got to watch this tournament.
Right.
Because Rory proved it. He's just going along swimming. Oh, hey, there's Rory too. Whoops, he's 4 over. What happened? I mean, you've got to watch it.
And a big number can be had.
Oh man,
quickly. Right.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. We'll get back to talking U.S. Open golf, which is at Oakmont, just outside of Pittsburgh. Christopher Powers will join us then. But right now we go to Pittsburgh, where Ray Fittipaldo is kind enough to join us because he covers the Steelers for the Post-Gazette in Pittsburgh. You can follow Ray on X, Ray Fit with 2 T's and the number 1. Ray Fit and the number 1. Ray, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Glad to do it. Mini camp is over, and next time the Steelers will practice, we'll be up in Latrobe in about 6 weeks. So very, very interesting offseason so far for the Black and Gold.
No doubt. You know, we thought it was a foregone conclusion, really, since Aaron Rodgers met with the Steelers many weeks ago that he would sign. He finally did. Are Steeler fans calmed down yet? Because they seemingly didn't want Aaron Rodgers and didn't like the whole waiting as long as he did to sign. It turns out he had some things going on in his life, like getting married, that were going on that people inside may have known about that the outside didn't. Has the Steeler fan base calmed down about Aaron Rodgers yet?
Yeah, I think they're finally satisfied that this is over and they know who the starting quarterback is going to be. I think a lot of the angst was because, you know, a lot of people felt like Aaron Rodgers was holding the Steelers hostage, right? Like they didn't know one way or the other whether he was going to commit or not for the 2025 season. So, yeah, I think that settled down a little bit, but I think everyone knows Aaron or whoever was playing quarterback this season was going to be judged on how he does on the field and eventually how he does in the playoffs. The reason the Steelers went out and got Aaron Rodgers is because they believe they have one more run left with this defensive core. You know, Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick, all these guys who have been all pros. They think they're a quarterback away, and they're hoping Aaron Rodgers is the guy to finally lead them to some success in the playoffs.
Listen, I know it's a mini camp. It's not a training camp. It's not real, so to speak. And I'm not a touchy-feely guy normally, Ray, but, you know, you've been around these things for a while. Does it feel any different this year? You know, no Pickens. We've got a different standout wide receiver. We're not doing the Russ Justin Fields thing. We're doing the Aaron Rodgers thing. Does it feel at all different this year or no?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think they've tried this offseason to get higher character guys in that locker room. And really this goes back, you know, this is Omar Khan and the new front office's 3rd year on the job. So they didn't draft George Pickens back in 2022. They came on a couple of months after that. And, they've been trying to weed some of these guys out who were from the previous, regime. And, they finally pulled the trigger on Pickens. They didn't want to deal with him anymore. I don't know how DK Metcalf is going to mesh with the Steelers. Listen, he's a guy who's produced before, but I do know they're very high on his character, who he is as a person, and, what he does on the field from, the standpoint of doing the right things, hustling, all that stuff. So, we'll have to wait and see about the production. George, despite all of his shortcomings, produced on the field for the Steelers. We'll see if DK can do that. But, yeah, I agree with you. You're going to have a new quarterback, a new number one receiver, potentially a new number one running back in Caleb Johnson, depending on if they go with the veteran Jalen Warren or if they commit to Johnson getting a lot of carries. So, it seems like we're in the spot every year with the Steelers offense, and we'll see if the new additions this year can help.
They have spent a lot of draft resources, not necessarily in 25, but in 23 and 24 on getting the offensive line right. Because of injury, it hasn't worked yet. How encouraged are you about where their offensive line is heading into this year? Because obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is going to work, that offensive line has to work.
Yeah, I think individually, when you look at, who these guys are and, what round they were drafted in, seems like it should work, but they haven't really gelled together as a unit. I feel really strong about Troy Fautanu. I think he's going to be one of the top right tackles in the league if he can stay healthy, but he was injured all of his rookie season. The centers and the guards, I think, are really solid too. Zach Frazier had a really good rookie season, and I think Isaac Seumalo and Mason McCormick are going to be fine, next to him. The big question for me is Broderick Jones. Number 14 overall pick back in 23, hasn't really played to that level. He's finally back at left tackle where he played at the University of Georgia, so I think people inside that building are hoping that maybe that move back to the left side will be, the trigger for the light to go on for him. But I'm going to be honest, he is protecting Aaron Rodgers' blind side, and to me, he's the biggest question mark on this line. So I think there's a lot of questions that have to be answered between now and the start of the season. We'll see if Broderick can handle it.
Ray Fittipaldo covers the Steelers for the Post-Gazette in Pittsburgh. You can follow Ray on X, Ray Fit with 2 T's and the number 1, Ray Fit 1. The TJ Watt holdout negotiation, if you will. Is there anything negative to this, or is this just normal business? Everything's fine. They're going to work it out. There's no angst. Because Ray, for what it's worth, we don't see how the Steelers can play hardball with him. He's the best player in a Steelers uniform until proven otherwise. And Miles got 40, so TJ's got to get pretty damn close to it, right?
I agree. And sometimes when a team like Cleveland overpays for a guy, you know what that turns into. That's business. And whether you like it or not, the Steelers are probably going to have to exceed that number. So, right now, I don't think there's any big concern over it inside that Steelers building. I remember locker cleanout day, the day after they lost to the Ravens in the playoffs. TJ said he wants to retire as a Steeler, how much he loves it in Pittsburgh. So I think what we're seeing right now is business. It is interesting, not only for TJ, but if you look around the league, Terry McLaurin holding out, Johnny Smith holding out in Miami, Trey Hendrickson holding out in Cincinnati. In the last 5 years or so, we've seen these hold-ins where guys will report, will be a part of the team, but they just won't practice. And I'm not sure why agents are going away from the hold-in, but we seem to be back to the holdouts now, and we'll see if it's any new leverage or any better leverage for the players. But I don't think there's any big concern right now inside that Steelers building that TJ will sign the contract. I just think it's a matter of when.
let's just say, for sake of argument, Aaron Rodgers plays at an average level quarterback. That he's not Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago, but he's not a bottom 10 guy. If he's a middle of the pack quarterback, what then is your biggest concern about the Steelers' offense going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has to be the running game. We just got done talking about the offensive line. They've been sort of like middle of the pack or almost towards the end in rushing stats almost every year. Their numbers were a little bit better last year in volume, but they still really struggled in yards per carry. I think they were one of the bottom 5 teams in the NFL on yards per carry. They were just committed to it more. So Najee Harris goes to the Chargers in free agency. He wasn't a great fit for Arthur Smith's offense. He's more of a power back. Arthur likes to run the outside zone. So that's what Caleb Johnson did at Iowa. I mean, he put up monster numbers at Iowa. He knows how to run the outside zone. I think Jalen Warren is that type of a back too. He can stretch the defense and pick his hole. So I think the fit is better this year, but you got to go out in the field and prove it too. And I think that's what people are missing, right? People see all the glitz and glamour. Oh, they got Aaron Rodgers. They're going to pass the ball more. I think Aaron has the potential to make the Steelers' passing offense better, but every single quarterback in the NFL, but especially quarterbacks who are aging, need a good running game, and the Steelers need that running game to step up this year if Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good season.
How much of these changes, Ray, in your estimation, were Tomlin driven? Because, Mike's really good when what's hitting the fan during the season. He doesn't normally throw a player under the bus. He had to with Pickens one time last year. But for the most part, Mike protects his players. And then this year, there were significant changes from guys that Mike had stood up for in the past. Were these changes Mike going to Omar saying, I've done all I can, man, get rid of him?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He doesn't have the title of head coach and GM, but he has a lot of say-so on what goes on with this football team. He's very involved in the draft process. And I think you're mainly talking about George Pickens. Mike Tomlin is the one back in 2022 who thought he could fix George Pickens. There were a ton of red flags about George coming out of Georgia, and a lot of teams didn't even have him on their draft board. But, Mike thought that he could get him in the Steelers culture and change that, but that didn't happen. Finally, after 2 years, they said, and really Mike was the one who finally threw up his arms and said, okay, let's move away from him and move on to a different chapter. And, talking about Aaron Rodgers too, this is a little bit more positive, but, Aaron said this week, the main reason he is here is because of Mike Tomlin. He wanted to play for Mike Tomlin. I know it was a months-long process and it was drawn out, and there was a lot of, uncertainty about the position. Really since the middle of March, but for better or for worse, they got their top quarterback after they decided to move on from Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. It just took a little bit longer than a lot of people thought. So, we'll see where it leads. But Mike has a lot of say-so with everything that goes on in that building, not only on the field, but in the off season as well when you're talking about player acquisition.
Well, Ray, I hope you got the word to TJ and the Steelers. Listen, I've got vacation planned in the next 6 weeks. Do not do your deal while I'm on vacation. I hope everybody got the note. Have a good Father's Day, a good 4th of July. Enjoy your vacation wherever and whenever it may be, and hopefully we can talk during camp.
Thanks, David. I'm sure we'll talk in July once they get up to Latrobe.
July 24th. The Steelers go back to work. Ray Fittipaldo, of course, will be there covering them for the Post-Gazette in Pittsburgh. Follow him on X, Ray Fit with 2 T's, Ray Fit and the number 1.
We've got a lot more guests coming up on the show today, so I want to get to this before the top of the hour break. We were talking earlier about Game 7 winners in overtime in the Stanley Cup Final. There have been 2 in the history of the league. They've both happened in the 50s. They both happened by Red Wing players. In 1950, after Detroit won a 7-game series with Toronto to get to the finals, they played the Rangers. And it was Pete Babando who had 12 points in the entire regular season. But the game went to double overtime. And he would score the goal to win the cup for the Red Wings. He'd get traded to the Blackhawks in the offseason, and he'd retire with the Rangers in 53. The Wings did it again in 1954, this time against Montreal, where Tony Leswick scored the goal. He had a 12-year career, was a good player on a Wings team that had 6 Hall of Famers on it, but it was Tony Leswick who scored the OT game winner to beat La Habitants, as Detroit was on a roll at that portion of their hockey life.
And then they would win the cup again in 55, but then they wouldn't win it again for a very long time, until the late 90s. They went over 40 years without it. And it's part of our poll question today. Mark saw the dramatic win last night and was like, listen, what do you think's the best way to win a championship? Is it hockey overtime winner, last second shot in the hoop, a walk-off homer, Bill Mazeroski, Joe Carter, or whether it was Rory, Phil, there have been others, you birdie 18 to win that major? What's the best finish? And you voted the birdie.
I voted the birdie. You voted the hockey OT winner. I was torn. There's not one of these that's not amazing to me.
They're awesome.
When we were kids, we would play a game called Last Second, where you'd count from, played basketball, you'd count from 10 down 1, and the object of the game was to make the last second shot. It's part of my childhood that I remember vividly. We all played baseball envisioning the home run. But which one is it? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller _Moulton on X. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid, makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yep, RCB, it's happened twice.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, Kenner Relief, they have to install grass for the soccer. They won't play it there if it's not grass.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home, the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show. Lake City, Live Oak and surrounding areas. Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. We are Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. We'll talk a little Jags with Mike DiRocco of ESPN in about 35 minutes time. But the U.S. Open's going on. Round 2 is underway. Christopher Powers covers golf for a living for Golf Digest. He also hosts the Loop podcast. You can follow Christopher on X. The letter C, Powers, and the number 14. C, Powers, 14. Christopher, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure. Listen, it's kind of nice having Brooks Koepka back in the fold again, isn't it? Because if nothing else, he's quotable as hell.
It's extremely nice. I was kind of walking around the grounds yesterday, and you could kind of that feeling of old times when he made an eagle early on the par 5. Seen him at 2 under, just a few shots off the lead. It felt like Shinnecock and Erin Hills. He's always been great in this event. Hasn't had the best results the last few years. Missed the first 2 major cuts this year. There was kind of that narrative hanging over his head, like maybe he's finally done. Maybe he's officially washed up, just had a child. He's 35. Maybe he's done winning majors. And then he goes out and shoots 2 under. He's 2 off the lead, and he puts on a master class Brooks Koepka press conference performance where he displayed that level of, kind of cocky in a way, but also a little combative with the media, kind of going back and forth about that all-time quote he had at Bethpage Black. So good to see him back, and I hope he hangs in it, and I think he will, because historically when he does kind of just get a sniff of contention in this event, he's proven that he'll be there till the very end. So I would not be surprised to see him hanging in there all the way till Sunday evening.
Christopher, yesterday in watching the coverage, they really talked about how much harder the course got throughout the day. The greens firm up, the wind starts blowing, it gets tougher as the day goes on. Do you see that being the same way today? And does that give Koepka and Rahm and some of the guys that are up on the leaderboard who are teeing off early a distinct advantage?
Yeah, I think it should. Now, it is a little foggy today, which obviously it's a little bit more humid. It should be a little bit softer, but this place, it doesn't really matter what the weather is. It's going to play extremely hard. Unless it pours tomorrow, there's a little bit of rain in the forecast. I think it'll remain pretty crispy throughout the week. So, yeah, if these guys can go out and shoot a good score, and just be in the afternoon, the days get really long, the rounds get really long. It's just tougher to play in the U.S. Open in the afternoon. So playing in the morning is always going to be an advantage. Obviously, Koepka and Rahm played in the afternoon and shot a good score yesterday. So if they can go shoot another decent score now, that's going to be a massive advantage for them. And then they can go home and kind of rest and sleep, and they'll have a late tee time tomorrow if they do play well today. So kind of like you said, big time advantage for them if they can just shoot around even par today.
How surprised were you with Scheffler, 3 over at a U.S. Open? It could literally be one shot and one bad lie. And next thing you know, instead of shooting 70, 71, you're shooting 73. But, we haven't seen Scotty Scheffler, be 7 strokes off the lead in an important tournament in a while now. Well, what did he have to say? What did that feel like?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that I predicted this, but I did have a little bit of a feeling that it wouldn't be, an easy Scotty Scheffler victory, especially, with the 2-1 odds that he had before the tournament, kind of, peak Tiger Woods odds. I thought that was a little insane at a U.S. Open where just off the fairway, Scotty misses very small. He doesn't hit it off the planet. When he does miss, though, it's just off the fairway. And just off the fairway here is just as bad as missing off the planet. Missing off the planet might be better at Oakmont because he might be in another fairway or in some trampled down rough. So I didn't think Scotty, it was kind of just going to be a walk to victory. Now, did I think he would shoot 3 over in the first round? No, I did not. I thought he'd be around even par. But like you said, all it takes is one bad lie. And I actually saw him on the par 5. I think it was the 12th hole where, he had 2 great shots. He was greenside, but he had a terrible lie greenside, and he hit a crappy chip. That just kind of squirted out on him, went through the green. I think he did end up saving par, of course, but it's just little stuff like that where you think, all right, this has got to be a birdie hole for him. He's going to bounce back. You get a tough lie in the rough, and it becomes a par or a bogey hole pretty quickly. So, of course, he's already birdied early here. He's 1 under on the day, back to 2 over. I would expect him to kind of climb back to even par throughout the week and be there, but he definitely put himself behind the 8 ball yesterday, which I'm sure a lot of people were happy to see, a lot of his competitors.
Based on what you've seen yesterday, what do you think the winning score will be? Like with Scheffler, you said if he gets back to even today or gets close to even today, I looked at the 2 underscores and kind of threw the 4 under and 3 under away as I don't think they can repeat that. What do you think it's going to take to win this week?
Yeah, you and I are kind of in lockstep on that. I don't think it'll be 4 under. I did think yesterday, beginning of the week, these guys are just simply too good. I know you heard a bunch about over par is going to win. I heard Ben Griffin say he'd take 4 over and have a chance. Even par. I do think it'll be in that 1 under, 2 under range. Someone's, again, if it rains tomorrow, someone could post a 3 or 4 under like JJ Spawn did. It's not going to be, it'll be like 1 or 2 guys in red figures, I think. But even par might have a chance for sure. But I think a 1 or a 2 under, you got to be feeling very, very good on Sunday in the clubhouse.
I don't normally bring stuff like this up, but I'm bringing it up only because it's so different from how he normally behaves. Rory McIlroy has never met a microphone he didn't like, and he now has not spoken after the last 5 rounds he's played in majors. Is he having a midlife crisis? What is going on?
It is very odd, and I often see the defense of it from Rory fans on social media. Like, he doesn't have to talk to you people. He can just go to social media. There's all these different avenues. He's making a statement. But then he shows up before the tournament this week. He does a press conference, and he speaks at length about a variety of different things and kind of lets you in. So, he likes the cameras and the microphones when things are going well, maybe before the tournament, maybe before he shoots a bad score. But then he hides from them kind of when he has a rough day like he did yesterday. So I find it kind of strange too. I'm with you on that one.
If it's not a big name, and we all kind of look for big names in this tournament, who's the guy you're looking at? Like, to me, Ben Griffin, I don't know if he can win a U.S. Open, but man, he's played great golf for the last 6 weeks, and he's 1 under after 1 round. Who's a guy, a mid-level, not a name guy you're keeping an eye on right now that you think can win this?
Yeah, well, selfishly, I'm keeping an eye on Russell Henley, who I did bet before the tournament, but I also just I was doing a story on Wednesday just about guys. I was asking a bunch of players, can you say anything positive about this golf course? Do you like it? Because there's so much negativity around it. Everyone's going to shoot a million over par is going to win. So I said, do you like this golf course at all? And Russell Henley actually gave me a phenomenal answer. He said, I love this golf course. You got to do everything right. You got to hit the ball high. You got to have imagination with your putter. You got to be good around the greens. And then he went to the range, hit some balls, and then he came and found me afterward and said, hey, listen, that doesn't mean I'm going to play well here, but I think I could play well here. This is just a big boy golf course, and he's proven that in this event over the last few years. He's played very well in U.S. Open. He plays very well on tough, difficult setups. Around even par is a good score for Russell Henley. That's exactly what he shot yesterday. I would not be surprised if he shoots around even par every single day. So, again, like I said, that could be enough to get it done. Again, I selfishly hope that is enough to get it done for Russell Henley, so I'm keeping an eye on Henley.
Is this course too big for a Spieth or a Brian Harman? Obviously, they're major champions, but they're not long hitters. They played okay yesterday, even and 1 over respectively. But when you look at this course, Larry Nelson famously won here 40 plus years ago. I'm just wondering, can a mid-range hitter win the U.S. Open at Oakmont?
I think absolutely. And I would say about Spieth, he's certainly gotten a little bit longer over the last few years. He's driven the ball much better. So I don't think that's the case for him. As for Harman, yes, he is quite short. But again, kind of in the same vein as Russell Henley, 2 Georgia Bulldogs. He'll shoot around even par every day and be fine with it. He's pretty accurate. Jim Furyk finished second in the last 2 U.S. Opens played here. Jim Furyk basically didn't hit a drive over 250 yards. So it clearly wasn't too big for him. So I would say Spieth for sure can hang around, and Brian Harmon, just a total bulldog, no pun intended. He can absolutely hang around as well.
And I think Morikawa was another one. He doesn't hit it far, but he hits a lot of fairways. Had a good round yesterday. I'll be curious what he can do the rest of the week. Is there, when you look at today's setup versus, we thought the course was pretty fair. David pointed out a couple of things he didn't like. By and large, they made a lot of birdies yesterday. There's going to be big numbers. It's the U.S. Open. But I thought the greens held. I thought the course was in spots. If they hit it in the right spots, they could make birdies. It seems as if Oakmont was very fair yesterday. Will that continue for the rest of the week?
I think absolutely. I think the USGA has done a pretty good job of keeping it fair over all 4 days, ever since the second Shinnecock debacle. I believe that was in 2018. And it really is the greens that they always just got to be careful with. Once the greens get, especially at this place where a lot of them slope front to back, things could get clownish if they let the greens get away. But again, it's a little foggy today. It's going to rain tomorrow. So I think that won't be an issue. And then the rough, the rough's the same for everyone. Not a lot of guys complained about the golf course yesterday. That's usually something you see after day one, day two at the U.S. Open. Most of them said before the tournament, it's very fair. It's going to be hard, but it rewards execution. That was a big thing I heard when I asked a bunch of players the other day as well. That's all these guys are asking for, rewarding execution, rewarding good shots. This course does a good job of that. The USGA has done a better job of that over the last handful of years. So it's nice to see this course kind of hold up and play tough while also not going over the line, over the proverbial line, as they say.
Christopher, thanks for spending time with us, and hopefully Golf Digest has a little bit of an expense account so you can afford those USGA prices. Okay. You're not at the Masters anymore, Christopher. Okay. The sandwich is $15.
Yes, it is.
Thanks.
They feed us in the media center pretty well here.
That's true. They do. Thanks, Christopher. Be well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Christopher Powers, Golf Digest, and the Loop podcast. Follow him on X, the letter C, Powers 14, C, Powers, and the number 14.
Brooks Koepka with a bogey and a birdie early. Sung J M made a par on his first hole. They're both 2 under par. Players teeing off throughout. John Rahm, an early bogey. He is back to even. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I predict Rory makes the cut, Nix. I think he makes the cut. I think he shoots even par today. No, you didn't. I don't think Phil makes the cut, Sonny. I don't. I don't think Rory ever joins Live Canada Relief.
He doesn't need the money. He's made hundreds of millions.
So the guy that shot 86 is no longer in last. He's not teed off yet. Will Chandler is 9 over through 5 today.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, my. Double, quad, bogey, par. 6-6-8, 6-4 to start.
Also, Irish football. Phil had a big beef with the PGA Tour. I mean, he wanted to change the system. Roy doesn't have that desire. But yeah, Phil had made a lot of money. He had lost a lot of money.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Mike DiRocco covers the Jags. Travis Hunter is the big sensation in and around the Jags and mini camps. Great with the media, working hard. Offense before defense, but man, they are eating him up in Jacksonville. I can attest to that. Talked to Mike DiRocco about his dealings with Travis Hunter and just the Jags mini camp, new GM, new head coach, and new offense for Trevor. He'll join us a little more than 15 minutes time. You came up with the poll question today, as you do most days. And it wasn't bold, but you just said, and the poll question has to do with like great championship finishes. What do you think would be the best way to win a championship? Scoring an overtime goal in hockey, hitting that last second shot like Jordan in basketball, a walk-off homer a la Bill Mazeroski and Joe Carter to win a World Series, the birdie on 18 to win a major. And then you said something simple, but you go, we might catch some grief because I'm not including football, but I don't know. I know, Mahomes threw that overtime touchdown to win the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but I don't know. I just don't think, for as much as we love it, we love our football.
We do, David, but you know what no one dreams of being in football? A field goal kicker. And if you think of how some of the big games have ended in our lifetime that are dramatic overtime, last second type things, it's a field goal. And while we respect the hell out of the craft and how good those guys are, I don't think many of us at 6, 7, 8 said, you know what I'm really dreaming of? Kicking that game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl.
Now, there are those final 2-minute drill drives, and but we have not had a lot of people, by the way, give us a hard time today. They've come up with their own, alternate endings, which they always do. Our choices are never good enough.
It doesn't matter, David. We could have 40 seconds. You know what our poll questions essentially are? Are the same people who gripe about our poll questions are the ones that want 76 teams in the tournament. It's really what it is. Because someone literally, we picked out hockey and basketball and a walk-off home run and a birdie and a major. And somebody in the chat room said, winning Daytona, bumper to bumper at a checkered flag. Who the hell thinks of that? How would that make the list? But what they do every time we have a poll question, more than answer the poll question, is figure out how Miller and Moulton are wrong with their answers. It is a tradition unlike any other on this show.
Their endings are better than ours. So, but I find it interesting. We're not getting any grief for having a sports dramatic championship winning ending trivia question and not including football. And we're not getting grief about it. People are like, no, actually, for as great as football is, this stuff's cooler. It's better.
And for me, I went golf. David went hockey. You, the listener, have mostly gone hockey. I don't know if it's recency bias, the fact that we are in the Stanley Cup final, and the fact that we have a large hockey audience on this show. And our large hockey audience runs to X whenever we have a question that has some sort of a hockey answer. The hockey guy, he still wants to get out there and prove his point, even though the ratings will be awful for last night's game. But the series has been tremendous. 3 of 4 games in overtime. The other one, blowout game, featured a line brawl in the third period. This series has had a little bit of everything. It had an amazing comeback last night, twice for that matter. Edmonton down 3 spit, rally to take a 4-3 lead, only to see Florida tie it with 17 and a half seconds left in the game. And then Leon Draisaitl with the game winner in overtime. It's been a hell of a series. It really has. And all you and I, after 2 games, really wanted was, let's make sure we get 6 of these.
Yep. And now we will.
And I have been openly at home. I watch these games. My wife loves hockey. She and I watched the game last night. She's watched every game with me, at least for 2 periods. She may go to bed in the third. It gets late. She has long days. And she knows I've been openly pulling for Florida watching the series. And last night, she noticed me openly pulling for Edmonton when they scored to make it 3-1. I'm like, all right, here we go. And she went, who are you rooting for? I went, Game 7. I mean, I want Florida to win. I said, I picked Edmonton. I'm rooting for Florida. But more than anything, I want a Game 7. I want as much damn hockey as we can get.
Can the NBA continue to deliver? Game 4 tonight, ABC, 8:30. The underdog Pacers up 2-1 on Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is 6.5-point favorite tonight on the road. Thunder have not been that great on the road in the playoffs, just 4-4. But they've been great in game 4s on the road. They're a perfect 3-0. And one of them was down 2-1 in Dallas in a tough game, close throughout, beating the Nuggets, getting that series 2-2 so that they could hold serve at home and win the series in 7. Can the Thunder do that again tonight? First time, I would argue, since that game 4 in Denver, pressure on the Thunder.
Yeah, pressure's on the Thunder.
Well, just saying.
Wholeheartedly on the Thunder.
But it's not that often a team can be midway through the NBA Finals and have not had, a bunch of pressure situations. I mean, they swept the first round. They won in 5 in the conference finals. I mean, they've only faced one pressure series.
Yes, that's it. And that, to me, is the crux of where we're at tonight. How does this team, who, let's face it, if they win the series, they should be regarded as one of the best teams of this century. With what they did in the regular season and their dominance that they had, all the wins. But if they lose, they get on the short list of great teams to not win the final, David. You rack off 68 in the regular season, you're supposed to win the final.
Be curious how many fouls get called tonight. Did the officials get involved? If so, that usually favors the Thunder. Okay, SGA. Halliburton stepped up in a big way in game 3. Was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double.
We had a listener send me his losing ticket. He had Halliburton for a triple-double with unbelievable odds.
Oh,
I wasn't paying that close of attention, but as he pointed out in his text, Halliburton had 2 shots at rebounds in the final minute and a half and didn't get either one. And it was a pretty big cash to go triple-double. I loved SGA's comments yesterday when they asked about fatigue. He's like, there could be 4 games left in this series. Are you kidding me? Fatigue. No. He's like, this is what you trained all summer for. It's what you trained all season for. We could have 4 games left in the season. No. Fatigue is not an issue at this point.
I don't know. Isn't he like 25?
Yes.
I mean,
I will say, you're right about OKC getting to the line. Make your free throws. They were not great from the stripe in game 3.
Indiana was.
Yes, they were. Shot far less free throws and made about the same number when it was all said and done. You're right. Oklahoma City's going to get to the line more. That's their game, particularly SGA. But you got to make them.
Can the Pacers bench continue to deliver at home? They're going to have to, realistically, if they're going to win this series. I don't know if Caitlin Clark shows up tonight, by the way. Pacers are unbeaten when she's sitting courtside because I think the Fever are playing tomorrow, and I think there's talk she's going to play. So I don't know if she's going to be at the game tonight. Just saying, when you have a good luck charm, you have a good luck charm. With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122
or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right, Twitch chat, I've got one for you. And YouTube chat, you can all join in on this one. Most annoying Twitch or YouTube chatter. Go.
I said, what are you doing? He goes, we're celebrating World War II, our victory. I said, your victory? Your victory? Tell me about that. And then I called somebody else, and I happened to speak to President Moulton at the time. Now, in all fairness to him,
I don't want to listen to David's damn phone during the commercial. Iris, you're right. During the show, you piss me off like no one else. I don't ban you, but you love to come at me. You find it a lot of fun to attack me. Trust me, I could do it back. After all, I am the guy with the microphone. But it's what you live for, dude. Knock yourself out. But notice how many people, when I asked that question, picked you. That's interesting. I didn't say anything. I just asked a random question. Hey, it's not my fault that people find you annoying, Irish. Not mine at all. I asked a question. Who was the most annoying Twitch/YouTube? And they all voted for you, bro. And Irish, you annoy the ever-living hell out of me. You don't add a damn thing to that chat room, in my opinion. But you keep knocking yourself out. Let's go Broncos.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
An hour ago, like Christopher Powers earlier this hour, Mike DiRocco covers the Jags for ESPN and ESPN.com is joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. You can follow Mike on X at ESPN DiRocco, DiRocco. Mike, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys today?
Well, we're good, and I'd like to throw this in underhanded, like a slow pitch softball, and have you run with it as long as you'd like.
Okay.
So what's Travis Hunter like? He clearly is the new, sensation around the Jags, and he seems personality-wise to be awesome. But let's just talk about these first couple months and, trying to play the two positions and just Travis Hunter, go.
So you guys obviously remember the Energizer Bunny commercials that used to be on all the time. That's kind of what he is in terms of boundless energy. He is just always at like a level 10 here. We've seen all the clips of him dancing in between drills, during drills, after plays, walking out to practice, during warm-ups. He just is always moving in some way, shape, or form, and it's, you can kind of see, I guess, unbridled enthusiasm. Like, he looks like he's always enjoying himself. And I've had people tell me that he's the same way inside the building, that he is on the practice field, just a bundle of energy and always smiling, always trying to make people laugh. But I've been told, look, don't mistake that for him not taking things seriously, because the kid is in the playbook offensively and defensively. He's attending offensive and defensive meetings. He's working his rear end off in the weight room. I think he gained a few pounds over the course of the spring since he got here after being drafted second overall. So the kid is really working his rear end off in the weight room, on the field, in the meeting rooms. And you just kind of look at him and you go, there's a guy that loves football. He just loves being involved in football in any way, shape, or form. And when you are trying to find a guy that can help transform your franchise, that's the kind of guy that you want. So, how much is he going to play offensively and defensively, snap-wise? I don't know yet. I don't think the Jaguars know yet. They're still trying to figure all that out. But they've got a guy who's going to put the work in, isn't afraid of working hard, and has some pretty freaky athletic ability to be able to be maybe the first regular two-way player since Chuck Bednarik, with Philadelphia, who played, I think, from 49 to 62. So, it's funny because I had this argument with a lot of guys in the press room when he was drafted, and I was like, well, he's the face of the franchise now. And they're like, no way, he's not. It's still quarterback Trevor Lawrence. And I'm like, I hate to break it to you, fellas. He is now the face of the franchise. He's the one that everybody wants to talk about. He's the guy that, just look at social media. He's all over the place on social media. He's the guy the Jaguars are tweeting out on all their social accounts more than anybody else. I mean, everybody knows who Travis Hunter is. He's massive in terms of interest nationally at this point. And Trevor Lawrence is coming off a season where he was injured, missed 7 games, and has not really played well the last 2 years. So Travis Hunter is the biggest thing in Jacksonville right now, no question.
Well, and Michael, as you were giving that answer, I'm thinking in my head, this might be the best thing that ever happened to Trevor Lawrence, because this is a monster year for that young man. New head coach, has worked well with a lot of quarterbacks. Everybody has hope that Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence can work well together and he can resurrect Lawrence's career. But when you're saying that Hunter's the face of the franchise, my thought is that's great for Trevor Lawrence. Don't you agree?
Yeah, without question, because otherwise everything we'd be talking about would be, like you said, it's a big year for Trevor Lawrence. He missed 7 games last year. The kid can't stay healthy. He's been up and down, never been consistent over a full season, had a really good run there, 22 into early 2023, but, still hasn't put it together since then. And hey, going into year, 5 here, this is a big, big year for him. And that would be everything that anybody's talking about here in Jacksonville. And that at this point, that's maybe third, because you add the Travis Hunter stuff, obviously, and then everybody's really looking forward to what Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be able to do in his second year with the help from Travis Hunter there. And then it's, this defense was a mess last year, and there's so much excitement about Anthony Campanile and what he's bringing to this unit and the enthusiasm there. So, maybe third at most for Trevor Lawrence being on the interest meter this year, and he's able to fly under the radar. And you wonder, is that going to be really good for him mentally at this point? And I think the answer might be yes.
Talking Jags with Mike DiRocco of ESPN and ESPN.com. Follow him on X at ESPN DiRocco, DIROCCO. Listen, first pressers, it's always dangerous to come to a conclusion based off of an introductory press conference. But, Liam Cohen had a rough introductory presser. Okay, never mind the fact that one of the worst Duvals that's ever been attempted. So now that we've been around him for a few months, does he seem as if he fills out the shoes for the job, if you know what I mean? Like certain guys, like, Mike McDaniel, okay, and I know he had 2 winning seasons his first couple of years in Miami, but a lot of people who were around the Dolphins are like, yeah, this guy's not a head coach. I don't know how this is going to work out. Okay, does Liam Cohen come across in these early days as, oh yeah, he's the head coach?
Yeah. That I would just say, like, he had a rough introductory moment at the press conference because everything else I thought went pretty well. And in talking to him throughout this spring, he's clearly a really sharp guy. I did a story about his background and how he got here and the people that I spoke with, former coaches of his, former players. He's a really, really smart guy who understands offense, understands how to kind of get things, especially in the running game, moving smoothly. And, a lot of misdirection, some wing T elements in there. So he's like a football junkie. So from that standpoint, I don't think there's any question about Liam Cohen's chops and whether he's going to be able to get that done. The question that I had was, he's head coach for the first time. What's he going to be like in front of the room? Because that's really where you kind of make or break yourself, because those players are going to follow you if they believe in you and if you can capture them. And from what I've been told from players and people inside the organization, that's not been an issue with him either. So just the question will be, how does he manage his time? A lot like Travis Hunter. How is he going to manage his time now dealing with offense and defense? He's been pretty funny with us, talking about, hey, he's watching practices and he sees a great play made by the defense. And he has to remind himself every once in a while, it's like, hey, I'm supposed to be excited about the defense too, when in reality, he's really mad because the offense didn't come through. And that's the old offensive coordinator in. But, the guys like him, from what I've been told, and it's sort of a breath of fresh air around there. It's hard to imagine that after only 3 years, things kind of got stale with Doug Peterson, but that's really what it was by the time the end of 2024 had rolled around. So, early returns are great, but again, it's, like I tell people, fans, when they ask me, I'm like, I'll tell them all this stuff too, but I'm always giving the caveat that, hey, look, they're 0-0. They haven't lost 3 in a row. You know what I mean? There's no games, no wins or losses to worry about. And at that point, everything to now is positive, but you got to wait and see how he handles all that other stuff. And that'll really tell us if he can handle this or not.
No doubt. And I love what you said about what Cohen can do in the running game, because that to me was what Tampa was able to do last year. It made a world of difference in the way the Bucs were perceived, because when we look at the Jags, and we cover the Florida teams a lot, the Jags and the Dolphins, we remember the first game of the season, we thought it was big for both. Turned out the teams were damn mirror images of one another. Neither was tough enough. Do you think the Jags got tougher in the offseason so that when it is 3rd and 2, the Jags can grind a first down by running the ball? And the point that I'm making, just be on both sides of the ball. Can the Jags be a tougher, more physical team at the point of attack?
I've been asking that question all spring, because that's what James Gladstone, the GM, and Liam Cohen have preached since they got here: physical and mental toughness. And the unit that sets that tone is the offensive line. It's great to be tough at receiver and all that other stuff, but it's really your physical and mental toughness. That identity is determined by your offensive line. And if you look at what they've done, they brought in like 7 new guys. And it's possible, and maybe even likely, that they'll have 4 new starters on this offensive line, which is really, really rare for a team to turn over 4 starters. But the guys they're bringing in, Robert Hainsey, center, who played in Tampa last several years, physical, tough guy, kind of one of those guys that, is going to give you a little extra shove here and there. Perfect. That's what you need. Patrick McCarry from the Ravens, same kind of thing. Brought him in to play right guard. They drafted a kid, Wyatt Milam, who is probably going to end up winning that left guard job. And he's the guy who had a reputation at West Virginia, played through the whistle there. That's kind of what you need. You want your offensive line to be a bunch of guys who may stick their finger in your eye, at the bottom of a pile, or may yank on a leg or an arm or whatever, because that's how you set that physical and mental toughness tone. And that's how you start to be able to run the ball consistently. That's what you saw last year in Tampa Bay, without question. They went from last in the league to 5th. I think Travis Etienne, I think people are sleeping on him a little bit this year. I think he's going to have a big year, not necessarily because of the offensive line changes, but just because, hey, it's a contract year for him, and he understands, I may not be here, but my future is in my hands, and I've got to really produce. So, 3rd and 1, we got to see it. You know what I mean? I got to see it before I believe it. But I do think the pieces are in place for them to be much better on the ground and much tougher physically and mentally.
Well, and this is not a fantasy question, I swear, but I'm curious. Do you think the guy who's going to get 60+% is going to be ATN, or is it going to be Bigsby? Because when Bigsby holds on to the ball, I think he's looked like the better player at times. And, and Cohen showed last year in Tampa, he had no problem starting the year with one guy as his number 1, and 5-6 games into the season, tapping the number 2 guy saying, no, you're now the number 1. I'm curious who you think is going to be RB1, ATN or Bigsby.
I think going into this after the draft, the Jags, they drafted Basil Tootin, speedster 4.23 or whatever it was he ran. And I think there was some thinking among the staff and inside the building that by midseason he'll be RB1 just because of the speed and the big playability, and that's kind of what they want. but I've heard that they were more impressed with Travis Etienne in the spring than they thought they would be. Like, he was one of those guys that sort of opened their eyes a little bit. You know, there's a big question mark about him and whether he fit into the role of their number one back. And I think, honestly, they're going to go into camp and go into the regular season with him as the number one running back. And, I don't know how long he holds it. Personally, I think, like I said a few minutes ago, I think people are sleeping on him, and he's going to have a really, really good season and be a guy that at the end of the year will be one of the more sought-after running backs in free agency. So I'm going to stick with Travis Etienne at this point as their number one back, but I think it will be a little bit more split, like you said. Tank Bigsby has looked pretty good in the preseason here, but you're right, he had a fumbling issue as well that has to be dealt with. Basil Tootin, like I mentioned, he comes out with questions about fumbling, and I think at the rookie minicamp he put a ball on the ground that there's no contact, there's none of that stuff in rookie minicamp, and he had the ball poked out, and that ball's on the ground, and you could tell Liam Cohen was really annoyed by that because that just can't be an issue. The only question mark about all those backs is, are they able to pass protect? And, the answer so far has been no. That's been the knock on Bigsby and Etienne for sure. But I'm going to stick with Etienne as the running back one, but there will be sort of a spreading out of the carries for sure.
Mike, happy Father's Day. Enjoy the next 5 weeks, hopefully a little bit of downtime, and hopefully we can talk again during camp.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Mike DiRocco covers the Jags for ESPN and ESPN.com, and follow him on X at ESPN DiRocco, DIROCCO.
Brooksy's 1 under through 5. He's 1 shot back of the lead in the U.S. Open. Miller and Moulton, the bonus hour. That comes next. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh my goodness.
Irish football? Probably not, dude. You don't. Your goal is to try to piss me off every morning. And I've said it before. It's your right. I've had people, you don't know the number of people that I've had text the show saying to ban you from the Twitch chat. I won't do it. I will never ban anybody unless they're not part of what the show is. But your job is you come in here every morning to try to piss me off, and you do it every day. So congratulations. You've worked hard at it. You're good at it. Congratulations. So JT 4-putted, missed 2 3-footers.
Today?
Yeah.
That's after 76 yesterday.
Yeah, 4-putted. The guy who was 9 over through 5 is 11 over through 7. That's 46 with 2 pars for what it's worth.
So a 50's in play.
Thank you. I don't know who Dan Hope is, but I do. Christy Dosh, that sports biz. You know who she is, don't you?
Uh-huh.
She reposted this. Ross Bjork says that the Ohio State AD will start revenue sharing with 4 sports: football, basketball, women's volleyball. Ohio State's 91 new scholarships across all sports will count towards their $20.5 million cap. The other $18 million will go to those sports.
Huh.
I'm just, that and that, if we'd ever get that Ross Dellinger on, what a great guest he would. He's all over this.
All right.
Because that Deloitte revealed, they had their meeting yesterday where they revealed the clearinghouse. And basically they're saying that 70% of these NIL deals wouldn't go through. And they're flagging any deal that's over $10,000 to look into it. I'm fascinated by this whole NIL clearinghouse, because explain to me how they can determine what free market is.
Well, thank you.
I don't get it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this Friday the 13th. Thanks for spending some of your week with us, Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. In light of a third overtime in 4 games of the Stanley Cup Final, Mark inspired by, hey, what's like the best ending you can have in a championship? Would it be an overtime goal to win a series in hockey? Would it be the walk-off homer in baseball? Is it the Jordan shot to beat the Jazz? That type of buzzer beater? Or, Halliburton in game 1 type deal? Or is it a birdie to win a major? And so just, if you could live vicariously through one of those 4 moments, which would you most want to experience? That's probably the answer to the question.
And I probably hemmed and hawed over this question and agonized over what answer I was going to give more than any other. I was super excited driving to work. I had 3 of the 4. I'm like, I've got the poll question. And if you listen to this show, you know that Miller and Moulton suck at poll questions.
Yes, we do.
David's come up with 7 more during the show today. We had one about every 13 minutes. David says, it could be a poll question. And this is what happens to Miller and Moulton. We get a good one. We come up with 10 others. By Monday, we will have forgotten all of them. Don't worry. But I really agonize because there's not one of these to me that wouldn't be
amazing,
the coolest thing ever.
I mean, you think about it, we've all, now I guess you have to be a certain age. You could be young and not have seen Joe Carter's walk-off against the Phillies to win the World Series. Is pretty amazing. Not going to lie. I mean, sucked for, Phillies fans. But then again, Phillies fans, most of them were probably Villanova fans, and they had to wait 25 years, but they had Jenkins hit the 3 at the buzzer to win a natty against North Carolina. How cool was that?
And basketball was one of my first loves. So the last second shot to me, and I mentioned earlier, we played a dumb game, a one-on-one game where whoever had the ball started 1 down, and we played from 10 seconds down. We called it last second. Remember doing it when I was 7, 8 years old at my neighbor's court in his front yard. So vote accordingly. I'm a little disappointed in the number of votes. I thought we would get a larger response to this question than we did because we've kind of pumped it up through the show a little bit. U.S. Open going on right now. Brooks Koepka off to a good start. But I am focused on the player that's in last place. Will Chandler is currently in last place. He shot 78 yesterday. It was by no means the worst score. There was an 86 out there. But he's played 8 holes so far today. He's 12 over par. That's 47 on a 9 in the U.S. Open. And that is 47 saying he pars the last hole of the 9 that he plays today. And that seems unlikely because he's only made 1 par through 8 holes thus far. He's made 2 doubles, a quad, and 4 bogeys thus far.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you're out playing this weekend, grinding for that 45 on your side, understand that's what Will Chandler is doing right now at the U.S. Open.
And think about how good of a golfer you have to be to have played your way into the U.S. Open. And right now, you're battling to not post a 50 on the front 9 of your round on Friday. I mean, think about when is the last time this guy didn't break 80? Even yesterday, what'd you say? Shot 8 over?
He shot 78. He's
Right,
played
shot
in
78
15 PGA Tour events. He's played in 10 Korn Ferry events. He turned pro in 2021. He competed on the PGA Tour Canada, played at the University of Georgia. This guy can play. He's a good golfer.
I'm asking the question, when do you think the last time he did not break 80 is? And now, hell, breaking 90 is very much in play. I mean, you go straight to the bar after this one. I mean, I don't know when you saw your tee times and you were going late on Thursday and early on Friday if you booked your flight out Friday night out of Pittsburgh. But man, oh man, if so, you got to get the airport bar.
David, if I were Will Chandler right now, when I finished my 9th hole, because the odds are I'm teeing off third on 10. I'm not going to the players' lounge. I'm going right to the halfway house and saying, can you give me a 6-pack for the back 9?
I don't know if I'd drink a 6-pack on my back 9 at the U.S. Open, but I might drink one.
How can he play worse?
I might drink one, and I might get one from my caddy because this can't be fun for him either.
I might get 3 mini bottles for the caddy, and I might shotgun a beer before I play the 10th. Now, I'm guilty of that because I'm playing after the show today, and at 5:30 this morning, I was packing the cooler of beer. So I'm a little different when it comes to that. But what's fascinating to me.
What's this guy's name?
Will Chandler.
You know who he needs in his life? He needs a Joe Buck. And I know I told this story once before, but 9 years ago, Fox was televising the U.S. Open. It was their second year of doing the U.S. Open, and it's at Oakmont. And I happen to be part of the crew, and I'm in the main booth. And at 10:30, all of a sudden, everybody's ready. We're going on at 11. And at 10:30, everybody's dressed and they're on the set and they're ready to go. We're going to do a dress rehearsal. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Joe, out of nowhere, goes, oh, and unplugs himself in the back, unplugs his microphone, gets up and leaves the set. And he goes and he finds a, quote, runner. Guy's making $150 for the day, get waters, sodas, anything that anybody needs. Right. All of a sudden, Joe takes a bunch of money out of his pocket, hands it to this kid, and this kid goes running out the door. Joe goes back, sits on the set. They do the rehearsal, the whole deal. Kid comes back at like 10:54 with a tray full of 12 beers. And Joe, meanwhile, now we're all locked in. Makeup's been applied, the whole deal. We're all ready to go. The beers arrive. Joe sees it and goes, oh, everybody follow me. And everybody unplugs. We're going on the air in 5.5 minutes. And Joe goes over and pours half beers, a little more than half beers for like 18, 20 of us. And then gives a toast. It's like 10:56, 10:57. We're going on at 11 o'clock. And Joe Buck just simply said, hey, everybody, have fun. It's only blanking television. And we all swig down our 8 ounces of beer. Everybody runs back, plugs in. Producer and director are screaming over. But, Mark, this guy needs a Joe Buck. He needs somebody to go out, take some money out of his pocket, and find a runner and say, hey, can you go get me a couple? Get me a few.
Yes. No one's ever needed 3 beers at the turn more than Will Chandler right now. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Because not that no one's going nuts, but Victor Hovland's 2 under through a few holes. Sam Burns is 2 under through a few holes. So there are birdies out there.
Boy, that'd be nice because that puts Hovland under par, right? Because he was 1 over yesterday.
Correct. He's 1 under. He's T5 right now.
And you said Koepka's 1 under for the day, so that has him 3 under for the tournament, right?
He just made a bogey, so he's even through 6. He's 2 back. Justin Thomas recently 4-putted a hole.
Wow, there you go.
He had 3 foot to make his par putt. It lipped out, spun out about 3.5 feet, and he lipped that one out coming back.
There you go.
That's the U.S. Open. That's the nerves of those tournaments, of that tournament. And I love it. NBC this afternoon, Peacock all morning, and then 1. NBC for the crux of it on Saturday and Sunday. Anything you really want to watch, unless you're nuts like me and get up early and watch USA Network until the coverage switches over.
Yeah, I think USA is like 9 to noon both days on the weekend, and then it's NBC the rest of the day. Today, it's Peacock till 1, NBC till 7. And then Peacock for those finishing up late. Listen, you got one of those 1:15, 1:30 tee times. That's 5.5, 5:45. I don't know if you finish your round on NBC.
I don't think that you will.
Yeah.
I don't think that you will. Scotty Scheffler 3 over yesterday. He had made an early birdie. trying to figure out where, and that's where he's at right now, 1 under through 4. Jordan Spieth made a couple of early bogeys. He was even yesterday. He is 2 over as well on the tournament. Couple of the names that you may be following at Oakmont for the U.S. Open. Our poll question was about how you'd want to finish a series or a major. Which one would you want? Hockey OT winner, basketball last second shot, the walk-off home run, or the birdieing 18 to win a major. Right now, the hockey OT winner is percentage points ahead of the walk-off home run. Baseball guys showing up well outside of the baseball hour, David. Birdie on 18 coming in third, and the last second shot at hoop, not to anybody's surprise who listens to this show, is dead last. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton to vote.
I went with over par. Did you go over par?
I did as well.
Okay.
I did as well, and I think we're going to be wrong.
So you think it'll be red figures wins?
I do. I think the rain tomorrow will soften up the course. I think just seeing their after watching yesterday, there are birdies out there. Yeah, there are big numbers, but guys are making birdies, and they're making them all over the place. And that leads me to believe that, we're not going to see a lot of what J.J. Spaun did yesterday, where he had 4 birdies and no bogeys. I think that's virtually, it's not impossible because he did it. But, man, I think that's going to be tough. I think, the round like Morikawa had, the 3 birdies, 3 bogeys is going to be the norm, if you will. That guys will make some birdies if they're going to win this, but you're going to give some back over the course of the day because the rough, and particularly the rough around the greens, is damn near impossible.
It's top 60 and ties. This is actually the toughest cut to make of all the majors. The fewest golfers is the U.S. Open. Well, the fewest could be the Masters, but it's by far the smallest field. But top 60 and ties make the weekend at the U.S. Open. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Michael, I'm with you that it is one of the things that these guys do so well to not, and I always think you play well when everybody's playing well, but these guys to compartmentalize and not be able to pay attention to that, to me, would be so hard. So hard. But I think good player. I mean, not that I'm trying to compare myself, but I played with a guy last week on Friday, and I don't even know what I think I shot 89, 90. I did not play well at all. He shot 67. It didn't bother him at all that the other three guys, none of us played worth a damn. He fired off 6 birdies and a bogey. I mean, good players have the ability to do that, and that's always amazed me, Michael. Outside of what penalties were called, I didn't think anything about last night's game was dirty. I thought that was an incredibly well-played hockey game. The dirtier team in the series has been Edmonton, and it's not close. He parred 9 for 47. Impressive.
Whew. Excuse me.
He's in last place. He was about to shoot 50 on 9 holes, ambient. Something you don't see very often in a major. I just found it interesting, ambient. And I have the microphone. So every once in a while, when I find something interesting, I get to talk about it. And you guys, as the listener, if you don't find it interesting, have this great thing you can do. Turn us off.
Nix, I didn't know him. Read his book. We had him on the show a long time ago.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Broadcasting live from the Floormeister studios. Floormeisters, just keeping it real. You know, Mark, and I don't know if you believed in it, something to bring up on a Friday the 13th. Did you ever believe in the sportscaster's jinx?
100%.
Okay.
I never, I broadcast probably 1,000 games of hockey, thereabouts. If a goaltender had a shutout going for my team that I was working for, I would never say shutout. If we were being shut out, I would mention often that goalie was pitching a shutout essentially from that point.
So you would just give, if your team, say you're winning 3-0, you would just give the score a lot, okay, without pointing out the obvious that, hey, Peter's there and Nets pitching a shutout.
Magliardetti, 23 saves on 23 shots. Everblades lead 3-0. Back with more in a moment.
So I kid you not. You and I are both fans of the New York Post. We read it online every day. And I happen to be a fan of the teams they cover. You just like their style and their humor and what have you. Their headlines are the best.
They really are. The good, the bad, and the ugly would not be the same without the New York Post.
So I see this headline midday yesterday, right before the Mets are going to play the final game of their series against the Nats. And it's like, the Mets have 6 starters for 5 spots, and they got 2 starters that are coming off the injured list real soon. They've yet to get an inning out of Sean Manaea, and I forget who the other guy is. And one guy's only got 1 rehab start left, and another guy's got at most 2. And Mets are going to have to, they've got a luxury. They're going to have to trade their starting pitching because they've got too much of it. And
so do you always read the Post with Brockmeyer's voice?
Well, I thought that was like a bad Tim McCarver, to be honest with you. So, but I did, in that voice, in my head, as I'm reading it, say, well, a Mets starter is going to get hurt here by the weekend. And sure enough, 3 hours later, their ace is covering first base, and he pulls a hamstring. And I'm like, unbelievable. Knew it was coming. It's mentioned in the no-hitter, which, by the way, I think you have to do. I was broadcasting a perfect game one time. You knew the kid from the Miami Hurricanes had a perfect game. It's a perfect game.
It's the other team. You're supposed to do that. If it's your guy, through 6, 18 up, 18 down for Moulton. We'll be back with the top of the 7th after this. There are a million ways you can say it without uttering the word perfect game.
I don't believe if you touch the Wales Trophy or the Campbell Trophy that ensures that your team is not winning the cup. I don't believe it. And you know me.
You believe in the sports gods, and you are looking superstition in the eye and giving it the double bird.
I don't believe in that one. And you're right. I am very superstitious.
You are.
And I have certainly, brought up so-and-so's a terrific free throw shooter at 84% this year, and he's a perfect 8 for 8 tonight. Clank. Just have to laugh about it. Say, well, it's coming. I mean, now you say that before the free throw. You go, well, he's obviously going to miss this free throw because I feel compelled to point out that he's 84% from the line and a perfect 8 for 8 tonight.
Probably the toughest sport, basketball, to not, because you have to give that. See, there's no way to skirt around it. Like in baseball and hockey, I could always figure out a million ways to say it without saying it, if you know what I mean. Basketball's damn near impossible. It really is.
I really don't believe the sportscaster is impacting the outcome. Okay, except the 1 or 2 times in our careers when we were broadcasting before such small crowds that they could actually hear us. Otherwise, I really don't think we're influencing events. But I'm blaming, however, the Mets beat person for the New York Post for Senga's hamstring injury and going to be on the IL for a month. Absolutely.
Fair
No
enough.
doubt. No
Fair
doubt
enough.
about
You got to
it.
blame somebody.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of blame going around, or a lot of people moaning and complaining, because yesterday in Orlando, 200 athletic directors sat in a meeting while, I believe, Carl from Deloitte explained the new NIL clearinghouse to them.
I'll bet that was just a bundle of laughs.
I find this to be fascinating, that basically Deloitte officials claim that 70% of past deals from booster collectives would have been denied in their algorithm. 90% of past deals from public companies would have been approved. And one of the things that they have to do is you have to submit every deal over $600. And one of the things they point out is the process, if it's denied, how to resubmit your process. That basically it says, for instance, if the clearinghouse deems that a submitted $1 million deal should be $500,000, the athlete can resubmit for $500,000. How in the hell can their algorithm determine what free market value is, David? I don't get it. If the booster owns an insurance company and he wants player X to come and sit at the desk and answer phones for one day for $1 million, isn't that his right as a business owner?
Yes. It's his business. It's his money. But we all know what they're trying to do here. They're trying to prevent, outside money and influences and what have you, because certain schools will have much more of it than others. So, I mean, Mark, in theory, this is I applaud the attempt. In reality, once again, how does this hold up in court again?
I don't know. And the Ohio State AD has been talking a lot. And he already said they have 91 new scholarships because of this. That's coming off the $20.5 million. That they'll have 18 left to pay players. And they are paying players in football, basketball, women's basketball, and women's volleyball. That's it. But one of the comments he made is that no one is trying to restrict someone's earning potential. What we're trying to say is, what is the real market? Everybody you talk to, the pro market, will tell you that NIL deals for pro athletes are really small. In the collective world, we created a false market. I find that interesting from the Ohio State athletic director, who's led the false market because they paid more than anybody else when it was a false market. So his boosters obviously want to pay the players as much as they can to ensure that the Buckeyes have the best team. I find this whole thing fascinating when it comes to the NIL clearinghouse, David. I'm reading everything I can. I still don't understand how they can make this legal.
Well, the whole thing is limiting salaries. Why is the salary cap $20.5 million? Seriously. Why is that the figure? I mean, somebody's going to go to court and go, well, why is it $20.5 million? Shouldn't it just be whatever it is? I mean, look at our athletic department. We got a lot of athletes worth a lot of money here. Why should we be limited to $20 million total for the whole athletic department? We haven't even discussed Title IX and, women's sports only getting 10 to 15% of the 20 million, et cetera. I don't understand how it holds up. We're not lawyers. We don't play one on the radio, but this seems very un-American, limiting someone's income. With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floormeisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This is Miller and Moulton.
No doubt about it, Nix. No doubt about it. And once again, okay, if they were employees and you collectively bargained and created a salary cap, but you created this $20.5 million cap without consulting with them. Uh,
Scheffler gave one back. He's at 3.
Irish, right back at you. Happy Father's Day to everybody taking in the show. Hope you have a great weekend. And if your dad is still with you, take care of him.
Ran into a guy, David, yesterday. I walked from my house to the clubhouse where the little gym is, and there's a guy in a pickup. There's no crosswalk where you walk across the street. And I'm waiting for the car, and he kind of waves ahead, and then he turns in. He goes, "I know who you are, Miller and Moulton."
How did he know that?
He goes, "I recognize you, Miller and Moulton."
Huh.
Total Boston accent. He goes, "Love your show, love your guests, but I miss him." I'm like, "Who's that?" He goes, "Landry." I go, "Yeah, he got a job in a couple front offices working. He doesn't do any more radio." He goes, "That's too bad. He was smart." I go, "Yeah, he was." He goes, "You're kind of hard on those Boston teams." And I went, "And that's never going to end, sir."
Which is funny because I would say to him, "You're a fan, right?" He goes, "Yeah, so are you guys."
Right. Well, it's the corner bar. That's my team. You can't do that.
Oh, there you go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until we say goodbye. Wishing those dads out there a happy Father's Day this coming Sunday. Hope you're taken care of. You know, I was thinking about this before the show. I don't know why I waited until now to bring it up. See, in your family, you're the guy. You know, your wife's father, no longer with us. Your dad, no longer with us. Okay? Both of your children are yet to, you know, your daughter is obviously 11. She's not married, no kids. Your son in his mid-20s, not married. He's not a father. You're the dad.
Right.
You're it.
Right. As are you.
Well, no. See, that's the dilemma.
Oh, that's right. You've got grandkids, so the son-in-law is also a father.
And the wife, I think, put in a spot. Okay, you know, obviously she's married to, you know, this guy. Is kind of fond of him. Good guy. Having a second kid with him and all. Okay. I mean, it's his day. She had her day a month ago. It's his day. And so, you know who's getting left out?
You?
Dad. I've been demoted.
Really?
Yeah, well, think about it.
I am thinking about it.
I said, so enjoy.
You have one kid. She has one father.
I know, but you get married, the father of your children, she's in a bind. Never mind the fact she's 6-7 months pregnant, and so she's probably going to stay close to home. What I'm trying to say is enjoy being the dude. You're it, man. You're the center of the universe this weekend. Okay? There's a lot of great things to being a granddad, but a granddad. Look at Mark.
Dun, dun, dun.
But see, granddad can be demoted. Just saying. So I enjoy it.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was a day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health, 239-427-3441. That's 427-3441. Locations, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call today or go online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton for 10% off your service. We start in 1777 today, David. Marquis de Lafayette lands in the U.S. Kind of a biggie in that first big one.
Yeah. We needed them.
We've been paying those sons of back cents.
Well,
how many times do we have to bail out the French? That's all I want to know, David.
I know. I'd like to think it's even at the very least. Okay, but we really needed them in 1777 in the summer.
Damn right we did.
We were losing. We needed them.
1920, the U.S. Post Office says children cannot be sent by parcel post. That's right. Up until 1920, apparently people sent their kids through the mail.
I don't even want to know.
1953, Hogan wins his record-tying fourth U.S. Open, 6 ahead of Sam Snead. It was played at Oakmont. Thurgood Marshall becomes the first African-American Supreme Court justice today in 1967. The Beatles were on top of the world in 1970 as the single Long and Winding Road was number 1 and the album Let It Be was number 1. David, I remember this vividly as a kid because I was out of school and I think I watched it because, well, my parents never knew when I went to bed because they were in bed long before I was plopped in front of the TV where I would fall asleep most nights. But it was today in 81 on The Tomorrow Show. Tom Snyder interviewed Charles Manson. I just don't think they'd let that happen on today's television.
You don't think so? Are
Yeah.
you kidding? Are you kidding?
Do we put any other mass murderers on TV from jail? Tell me the last time you saw a prisoner interviewed on live TV. And I'm being serious. I thought that was it scared the hell out of me as like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, he freaked me out. I got to be honest.
Today in 89, the Pistons sweep the Lakers for their back-to-back championships. Sad day in 91.
No. That was your first. That was your first. You lost in 7 to the Lakers in 88.
In 88. That's right. They won 89. And then, yeah, my bad.
And
then
won
they
in
beat
90.
Portland in 90.
Right. Yeah, this was your first.
Sad day in 91, David. The National ceases publications. Ryan Sandberg retired today in 94 due to poor play. He forfeited $15.7 of his $25 million contract. Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette was released today in 95. The Red Wings beat the Hurricanes in 5 for their 10th title. Bowman's 9th, and he would retire afterwards. The LA Kings beat the Rangers in double overtime for a 4-1 series win, the second championship for the Kings today in 2014.
3 of the Kings wins in that series were in overtime.
Golden State gets their second title in 3 years, beating the Cavs today in 2017. And Vegas beats Florida 9-3 to clinch the series in 5 in 2023. Martha Washington, Red Grange, and Jim Irsay would have all celebrated birthdays today. Former heavyweight champ Mike Weaver is 74. Actor-comedian Tim Allen is 72. Hannah Storm is 63. And the Olsen twins, Ashley and Mary Kate, are 39 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Really? They're just 39? Man, they've been around a while.
I know.
It was a big deal then. Could you imagine the reaction today? Today in 71, the New York Times published the Pentagon Papers. That was the whole our strategy in Southeast Asia. And, some people had been out of shape that, this stuff never should have seen the light of day. This should have been classified stuff. And Times began publishing the Pentagon Papers. Could you imagine today? something like this happens, even though it's been upheld in court that it could legally happen?
David, we had a guy text a media member our planned attack like a month ago.
Well, that is true.
I mean,
but I don't know if you can, what can you do from a suing standpoint to a text? I'm just talking about if a mainstream media outlet.
I got you.
But who knows, Mark? You know what? Maybe nothing. Maybe this happens at 2:00 every day, and by 4:00 we all forget about it. I don't know.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I'm going to botch this guy's name, but we go to New York for the good. Well, Kelechi Z, I have no idea. Is a Long Island guy originally from Nigeria. He went to set a Guinness World Record with the intention of playing golf for 24 consecutive hours to have the title of the longest marathon playing golf. He teed off at Huntington Crescent Club at 6 p.m. on Sunday. But his plans changed when he was told halfway through his attempt that a Norwegian man had just completed 32 hours of consecutive golf. So he stretched it out and went for 36 hours to set the Guinness World Record. 36 hours of consecutive golf. I don't know who'd want to do that. For the bad, we go to Marco Island, where Collier deputies arrested a couple who is now facing animal cruelty charges when they had to rescue 57 cats from their residence. Olga Murphy and Igor Muroslavmiov were under investigation since April after a Collier County code enforcement animal control officer observed two cats in need of medical attention. They had active licenses to breed cats. When the sheriff's office arrived, again, they found 57 cats at their home. Finally, the ugly, we go to Cape Coral, where Mark Rasposa decided to rob a restaurant. It was around 3:30 in the morning where somehow he found himself inside the restaurant. He stole 14 cans of White Claw, 3 bottles of champagne, 1 bottle of wine. When police walked upon him as he had multiple beverages in his backpack, he said he got them at the convenience store, but couldn't remember the store's exact location. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Friday the 13th, here on Miller and Moulton.
College Baseball World Series gets underway today and tonight. ESPN, the channel. Arizona against Coastal Carolina at 2. Louisville and Oregon State at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow night at 7, the 2 SEC schools, LSU and Arkansas, going head-to-head, playing one another. It is interesting. They are the 2 highest seeded, I guess. Is that what it would be? 3 versus 6. And they're playing each other, and all the others actually have quote-unquote easier first games based by seeding.
Yeah, they don't, as we've talked about, this is a bracket.
Right.
Right from the get-go.
They do not reseed. So tonight is game 4 of the NBA Finals, 8:30 ABC. Oklahoma City, a 6.5-point favorite on the road, despite being just 4-4 on the road in the playoffs. However, they are a perfect 3-0 in game 4s on the road. Of course, Indiana's a perfect 3-0 in game 4s at home. Actually, 2-0 at home, and then one they won in Milwaukee. One of those miracle finishes the Pacers have had this year. Tomorrow night's game 5 in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup, 8 o'clock TNT. All right. Yankees, Red Sox. Let's do it again, this time in Boston. Giants, Dodgers. First place on the line in the West. It's in Los Angeles. Apple TV tonight, if you're interested, Padres Diamondbacks. Your Tigers with an interesting series because the Reds have been playing better. And Terry Francona brings the Reds into Detroit. So Toronto's in Philly.
That's a good series right there. Toronto's been playing really well. Philly's kind of got to get it going right now.
Phils have been scuffling. Toronto would be just a game behind the Phillies if they were in the same division. Or the same league for that matter. Marlins are in our nation's capital to take on the Nats. The Rays are in Queens to take on the Mets.
Big series for the Rays. They, playing good baseball teams. They can't get swept. I don't know if they can win the series, but trying to hold pace for that wild card, and they're slipping ever so quickly.
Braves had the Rockies home for 3. Is this it? Is this the last stand for the Braves? If they get a sweep, are we still... they'll sweep to get to 6 below 500, but...
I won't count them out, but it's getting really close, David. Really close. But with the pedigree and what they've done, and the fact that we've all watched the Mets fall apart in the second half of baseball seasons, that's something they do. So is there a lead that the Mets could have in the division at August 1 that you would think is safe, David? You're the Mets guy. You know what they've done many a fall. How many games do they need to be leading the division by at August 1 where you feel safe that they will win the division?
Okay, I do feel safe. They're currently 15 games ahead of the Braves. I feel safe they will finish ahead of the Braves. Okay, the Phillies? No. Mark, remember, the Mets were 7 up against the Phillies with 17 to play and didn't win the division or win a wild card. No, no. I won't feel safe until they're jumping around celebrating.
Good. That's a smart move. All right, tonight I've got OKC. Who do you got?
I'll take the points. OKC wins close, kind of like what they did at Denver in Game 4, but I'll take the 6.5.
Who wins in Edmonton on Saturday?
Edmonton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid,
makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that and